Welcome in, everybody, to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. You know, folks, one of the most popular segments in this show is Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals. Not going to lie to you about that. And one of the most, I should say, important segments of Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals is, of course, Florida Man. We talk about Florida Man quite a bit. I think we all love Florida Man for our own reasons, whether it be wacky, silly, or just plain bizarre. We can't describe the behavior of Florida Man. We can't quite wrap our head around why we love Florida Man so much, which is why when I saw the listing for this book, I absolutely had to get a hold of Wild Blue Press, and I said, I need to talk to Frank. I need the advance copy of this book. I have to see what is in this book just by the title alone. Vampires, Gators, and Wackos, A Newspaper Man's Life. Frank Stanfield is our guest. Author Frank Stanfield is a veteran newspaper journalist who's worked in the field for more than 30 years. For most of his career, he was based in Central Florida, where he covered thousands of criminal cases. His memoir, which we're going to talk about today, Vampires, Gators, and Wackos, A Newspaper Man's Life, recounts some of the bizarre and heinous acts that took place during his tenure, while it also explores how the real lunatics just may be the journalists themselves. Let's welcome to True Crime Tuesday, Frank Stanfield. Frank, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
I want to, first of all, preface this by saying that you work for, now, what was the name of the paper you worked for there in Florida?
Well, the Orlando Sentinel for many years.
Okay.
And the Ocala Star Banner, and more lately, the Leesburg Daily Commercial. Now, the span of the book really takes place anywhere from the 70s and 80s up until the early 2000s. Is that correct? That's right. Yeah, okay. Actually, I've updated this book, so it really goes up to 2022 or 2020 rather.
Okay, but it seems to me that Florida Man is not a recent development. This is, I think, a lot of people, when we say Florida Man, they think, oh yeah, within the last 10 years or so, is what we're talking. We're really not talking that, are we?
No, it's always been a crazy place. You think about the history of Florida, you think about pirates, and you think about Key West and smugglers and everything else, and Miami being so crazy, all the drugs and everything. So it's been going on for a long time.
I think it fascinates not only our audience, it fascinates people in general. It's a common, I should say it's a common term in our lexicon now. You say Florida Man, and I think people go either, oh, like there's intrigue, or ooh, like there's almost disgust. And I mean, it's been made the butt of jokes in different comedy tours and comedy programs on television. I think it's even maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of the butt of jokes of the news media. I think it's kind of that story at the end of a program. Haha, look at this. Hey, you want an interesting story that's kind of an end of the night dessert on top of what what we've been serving you all night long. Is there that stigma inside Florida? Do they know that they're kind of the butt of the United States joke when it comes to the news?
Oh yeah, they know, and they love it too. They love those stories. The people I talk to all the time when I do public speaking, I tell stories. One of my favorites is in my chapter called Wacky. Is one night the cops roll up on this naked guy walking down the road. And he turns around and he says, "It's not as bad as it looks." And the cop says, "No, it looks pretty bad. You're going to jail." There was another one where the public defender is trying to hire this lady. She had been a former assistant state attorney. And he says, "Do you have any skeletons in your closet?" And she says, "I don't know. What do you mean?" He says, "Well, recently there was a story about a prosecutor riding around naked in a car with a court bailiff in Tampa." She says, "That was me." So,
oh no,
you never know what you're going to get.
So you're not really going to get the best outcome of a trial when you admit to something like that right away.
No.
Frank, I gotta, Before we get much further into some of the stories from this book, and by the way, folks, I spent a good long few days, more than a few days with this book, and it is chock full of stuff. I mean, we're talking almost 500 pages, and a lot of our audience here is in love with Florida Man. There's no other way to put it, and I highly recommend the book for everybody out there in the audience, especially since it seems like our audience can't get enough of Florida Man and some of the stories in here. There are more serious stories to this book, though. I mean, there's not just the wacky, funny Florida Man stuff. There really is some gruesome, meaty true crime stories in this book, isn't there, Frank?
Yeah, there sure is. I think one of the absolute craziest stories I ever covered was the vampire case. And this was 16-year-old Rod Farrell from Murray, Kentucky. This kid's 16 now. He forms this group of vampires. They're drinking each other's blood. They come down to, he'd been in Florida and moved back to Kentucky. Then he comes back to Florida to pick up one of the cult members and kills her parents, beats them to death with a crowbar, and she runs away with them. And they're all arrested 3 days later in Louisiana, and she's never indicted. Everybody else is. And Rod ends up going to trial and is sentenced to death, which would have made him the oldest, or rather the youngest, on death row. But the story, and I wrote another book specifically about this case, but I mentioned this, it's a big part of this book too. And it's because he was like all this conjuring up demons and telling people he wanted to kill people and just crazy stuff. I mean, just absolutely crazy.
Now, there's a few nuances to this case which are, I think, pretty interesting, especially to our audience. One is that in forming this cadre or cult, he has followers that will follow him blindly, but a couple of his followers, including the girl whose parents end up getting killed in this case, is kind of on the fence. Is it safe to say that? Like there's some stories that say that she is okay with her parents getting killed. She herself says she was never on board for having her parents killed. Correct?
Right. But what she did is, okay, so she is not charged as a principal to crime because they can't prove that she did anything to aid and abet or plan this terrible thing. But, you know, at some level, she has some culpability because she was contacting him constantly and talking about, he claims that she was saying her parents were hurting her and all this sort of thing. So he claims he's coming down here to rescue her and all this jazz. Well, she's writing all this stuff about how she feels like she's a hideous monster, like a passive person on one hand, on just wanting to rip people apart on the other. I mean, there's just so much crazy stuff. And his parents, well, his father's absent. His mother is involved in this vampire thing. It just is absolutely crazy. It's multi-layered craziness.
And the vampire suspect, his name is Rod. Is that right?
That's right. Rod Farrell.
Rod Farrell. So Rod is contending all this time that he's the one who's been summoned by her, that she was positive that she wanted her parents killed. She's saying, no, I never wanted it to go that far. I just told them that it would be easy to steal their, was it an SUV that they ended up driving away from the scene of the yes. crime? Yeah. So she was never in agreement with that. But yet her behavior is strange once they get away with the SUV and he basically goes in and he, like you pointed out before, he bludgeons the parents to death with a crowbar. But wasn't the mother still alive when authorities showed up? The father was dead, but the mother was still alive?
No, they were both.
Oh, they were
both dead. But Rod claimed that she was, one of his stories he told so many lies. You couldn't tell anything. You couldn't count on anything. But he said one of his stories was he came in and they had been attacked by somebody else, and she was still alive. Well, she had been attacked so severely that her brainstem was exposed. So there was no way she was talking or doing anything. She was dead.
Yeah.
And the dad, who was asleep at the time, fell asleep. He never woke up, and he was just unrecognizable. But basically, these people were unrecognizable. The bludgeoning, so bad.
Jeez. So then, as they claim that she was this girl of this couple that got married, the daughter claims she was absolutely, or they claim that this daughter was absolutely fine. Heather, was that her name?
Yes.
Yeah. So Heather was absolutely fine. She kind of snapped out of it, and everything was rosy in her world as they were driving away and running away, and that she never had an issue. Yet she claims she was traumatized and basically hid out while all this was happening.
Yeah.
And that it was just reaction to trauma.
Yeah. I mean, she did have a nervous breakdown later, probably about a year later. She was staying with her grandmother, and she had a nervous breakdown then. So it's just, I mean, she claimed but here's the thing. She told conflicting stories too. Like one night before this murder, she turned to her sister who said, "Have you ever thought about plotting mom and dad's death?" Okay. And then the sister, who was a normal, pretty, cheerleader, 17-year-old senior in high school. She had a bad relationship one time with an abusive boyfriend. So Heather one night says, "Well, if you need somebody to kill the guy, I know somebody that can do it. It's Rod." So she's telling these conflicting stories. So, and here's the thing. What people are still talking about this case is because she was never indicted and went to the trial. She didn't testify at the trial. And so the judge at the trial says, "Mr. Prosecutor, I think maybe you should have another grand jury look into this." And she was again acquitted again. So, and there's a lot of theories on why that is. It made the sheriff really mad. But one of the things that happens with prosecutors is you don't want to muddy up the trial. You've got a bad guy. You don't want to be having any side issues or juries wondering about this or that, somebody else. So it's a very controversial case to this day.
Now, Frank, there's also a side note here in the trial. Rod is, of course, arrested. He's charged with the crime. In there, you mentioned quite brilliantly that Rod went from being a long-haired, very much looking the part of a vampire, to, as he goes into jail, his hair is cut short. He's looking more like a typical teenager, kind of forgive the language a little bit, but a little dorky teenager, as he's sitting in jail. Well, as the trial comes up, they get someone, is it someone from a different cult or a related cult to testify against him?
His mentor.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that. Well,
the mentor, Stephen Murphy, Jaden is his vampire name. He was Rod's mentor. He was into Murray, Kentucky is a college town. And at the time, there's all this Anne Rice movies and novels, Interview with the Vampire, and all this sort of thing was going on. So Murphy was hanging out with Rod all night in cemeteries and cutting each other and sucking each other's blood and all this kind of crazy stuff. So when Rod first gets arrested, he blames a rival cult, meaning Stephen Murphy. But anyway, Murphy comes down there and he's very likes to show off, and he's having a good time on the witness stand. And he says, "Look, I'm a vampire. It's a lifestyle. I'm not immortal." Rod was telling everybody he was 500 years old. Mm-hmm. "I'm not immortal. Look, He said, I know I can die. He said, I don't have fangs. Look. And he sticks his tongue out in the trial. And the AP photographer got a great picture of that. But I mean, so, and there's a bunch of kids in Kentucky that are all involved in all this stuff, and Rod, they go back. I talk about this in the book, specifically about this case, which is called Cold Blooded. And everybody goes back and talks to all his friends, and he's like, they talk about how he tried to conjure up demons, and how he was studying black magic and psychology so he could, quote unquote, destroy people's minds and instill fear in them, because if you instill fear, then you can manipulate them easier and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting, because the kid's only 16 years old, but he's got some kind of charisma and he's very artistic, so it's just a very interesting case.
Who was it in the case that said, don't call this a vampire murder case?
Yeah, it was the defense team, public defender's office, and the prosecutor joined in on that. It says, look, this has nothing to do with vampirism. But then when they got to the trial, the defense made it all about vampirism, and how he was under the influence of the occult, and how he had a horrible childhood and all this stuff, and this poor boy. And he ends up pleading guilty in hopes that the state will not pursue the death penalty. But that didn't work. The state says, no, we have an obligation to present all the evidence anyway. So they went ahead, and that's why then you had all these shrinks testifying about all these mental conditions and, all this sort of thing. So one shrink, the veteran guy, testifies, and he says, I've testified in 700 cases or something like that. And he says, this is the most dysfunctional family I've ever seen. So it was very interesting.
Interesting indeed. There's like I mentioned, there's a lot of cases in this book that will kind of take you and not only tug at your heartstrings a little bit because you feel sorry for one or the other, but they'll also kind of appall you. There's a case that I was reading, and I got to tell you, Frank, as I'm reading it, I think to myself, you're kind of sickened, because this is if I remember right, before the days of Casey Anthony, but yet still involved Nancy Grace. And could you outline this particular case for us? It has to do with a missing boy and his mother.
Yeah. Everybody talks about how Casey Anthony was the most hated woman in America. Well, this case here was a little 5-year-old boy, and his mother, she calls the police one night and says, my son is missing. I put him to bed and he's missing. And the dispatcher says, well, okay, well, what was he wearing? Oh, basically, I don't remember, some such a thing like that. Mm-hmm. Just, well, what's going on? So the kid's miss, she claims that somebody got in through the window and got him out of there. So there's a big search, of course, and a lot of hoopla. And so Nancy Grace calls the next day and talks to her, does an interview, and she gets the same deal. Well, okay, so where were you the day he disappeared? Where did you go? What was going on? And she was so vague and says, well, we just went shopping, but she wouldn't say where or what they were doing or anything. And so that was very suspicious. And of course, she was saying, Nancy Grace was saying, well, I don't understand. You can't even tell me what he was wearing. I mean, I don't understand. Why don't you tell me what's going on? So that didn't go very well for this lady. So, and, Nancy Grace is a former prosecutor, so she can be really, pointed with her questions. But I've seen her being a lot more pointed than that.
Right.
But the next day, before the interview actually airs, this woman goes and kills herself. Now, it's interesting because nobody knows what happened to this kid. Did she hand him off to somebody? Did she kill the kid? Because they do some, cell tower work and find that, she was going up to Ocala and the Ocala area north of Leesburg and all that sort of thing. So, well, you have to basically drive through the Ocala National Forest. So, which the expression around here is, when Jesus comes back, there'll be a lot of bodies flying up out of the Ocala National Forest. It's just sort of a dumping ground for everybody.
Wow.
So, but it was just horrifying. The kid's name was Joshua Duckett.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually about 2. He was about 2 years old. Yeah.
Yikes.
So, and the mother's name was Melinda. Well, ironic because the kid's grandfather is on death row. He was a rookie cop, and he killed and raped a little girl back in the 80s. So irony of ironies. But so nobody knows to this day, what was going on, what happened to him.
Wow. Yeah. And just the unusual personality traits of the mother, it just kind of curls your hair a little bit. Didn't she bite her mother-in-law at one time on the arm over a disagreement? Yeah. I mean,
she was mad because the mother-in-law gave the child a bath.
Yeah.
And she was very manipulative. She tried to make it look like her ex-husband, estranged husband, I should say, the child's father, was sending all these threatening messages. But she hacked into his account and was sending messages under his account to make it look like he was doing these things. So she was very twisted individual.
And at one point, didn't they speculate that they thought maybe the child might be alive, but maybe she was trying to give the child away? Because wasn't it suspected that she might have driven south? Was it south? Was that the direction she was driving? That maybe she was driving south to hand the child off to some people that she knew?
Right. But that didn't pan out. But there was. So, and basically because this investigation covered 2 counties, so one county had the opinion, well, maybe the kid is really alive. And then Leesburg in the other county where this thing happened says, no, we're sure he's dead. So there was disagreement even among the cops. So, it was just very...
Because the clues were there, weren't they? That she was getting rid of certain things that he would have needed, certain foods, vitamins, clothing clothing he had outgrown, but there was other clothing she had gotten rid of, like she was starting to think about getting rid of him.
Yeah. Like a Mother's Day card, a sonogram picture of him.
Yeah.
So that's not a good sign.
No, not at all. Wow. That is sad. Before we go to break here, Frank, I want to talk to you a little bit about the newspaper medium in general. You talk a little bit throughout the book about transitions that are made in newspaper and the fact that a lot of times as you've gone to work in different newspapers, that the type of stories you're writing, you can't, especially when it came to the vampire story, you couldn't believe you were about to write something about a vampire. And how, you were at times you were writing headlines that you thought might be a little sensational or that, you were having to serve an audience or super serve an audience based on the fact that circulations were going down in newspapers. Tell me a little bit as a newspaper reporter, how you find yourself having to super serve that audience, especially now that we've made this transition from print and actually holding a newspaper to digital.
Well, the incident with the vampire thing is, I'm a conservative person. I'll pat myself on the back here for a minute.
Sure.
I'll cover a trial or a meeting, and I'll come out. People will say the next day or whatever. They say, "I don't get it. You just said what happened in there. That's all." I said, "Well, for one thing, how do you add anything to vampires? Okay,
Right.
That's one thing, but the other is I just believe in just telling the facts. You can't. I mean, you don't spin it. You don't do anything. And newspapers have gone through this transition, not always good. I mean, they have had layoffs and just all kinds of things. And the newspaper business was slow to get onto the internet. They didn't know what to do when they got there. Should they sell subscriptions? I mean, everything changed. Used to be you sold subscriptions, you sold legal ads, classifieds, and all that. And all that stuff just went out the window. And then, of course, the rising price of paper and everything, and the recession in 2008, it was just a mess. It was just awful. So things change, but it's like, I don't know. It's like things have just changed. It used to be, I don't know if it's just the society is more sensitive and ready to be offended at a moment's notice. So you really kind of got to be careful what you say or do or what. But sometimes they're just not interested in crime like they used to be. That was a big staple, Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's just, of course, all this stuff that's happened, this terrible stuff that's happened with George Floyd and everything else. You've got to be really sensitive about how you frame things, and you don't want to be accusing a whole group of people of something that that wouldn't be right. So it's just everything is different.
Well, let me ask you this, Frank. It's no secret to anybody who's gone to journalism school that you have to cite your sources, you have to verify your sources, and then you have to report it as it's laid out, like you just said. You can't embellish something that isn't there. Right. When you talk about, you kind of have to tiptoe around certain people or certain groups in order to report what you're reporting. Does that actually change the information you're reporting? Do you feel like it does?
Yeah. And the other thing is there's fewer of us out there doing it. Mm-hmm. So, and obviously the news hole has shrunk. There's less advertising. There's fewer people. So you're going to it's a difficult decision for editors of where you're going to put your resources. What are people really? And here's the other thing. This is the thing that's always been the issue or the question. It's like, should we tell people what they want to know or hear, or do we tell what we think they should hear? That's the other thing. So, and now with the country completely divided, mm-hmm. Man, it's like, I don't even know. It's just like, now a newspaper, you might say that newspaper is real liberal, but that one is not as liberal or whatever. Because I think what happens is with cable TV 24/7, they're opinionated, opinionated. So it's kind of bled over to the perception, if nothing else, that newspapers are just as opinionated. And that's not the way it used to be.
No.
It used to be the editorial board people were behind another wall, and the news department was on the other side of the room. Mm-hmm. Well, they could come out and ask you a question about a fact, but we didn't give our opinion, and they didn't write the news. So, but nowadays, it's, I don't know. It's like, well, when you pick and choose what stories to cover, that says a lot about what you're doing too.
Yeah, that does show that there's an agenda. What would be so wrong? And let me just play a what if game with you here, Frank. What would be so wrong about getting back to the good old days of journalism, where you're showing impartiality, where you're sitting down and just saying, you know what, we don't we're not going to show an agenda. We're not going to show a bias. We're just going to report the news.
I'd be all for it. I'll tell you what. I mean, you have an editorial page, you have an op-ed page, which is really good because you got different points of view. But I would really like to see more, balance. Like, okay, if you have a story about the president and people are criticizing the president, fine, great. We're supposed to be critical of government officials and so on when they do things.
Sure.
Critical review. But on the other hand, make sure you interview somebody that says that's a good idea, too.
Yeah.
So, and not just, you can't always go 50-50, but
right.
Just more balance. It just seems like it's just that people are picking sides.
True. Very true. Frank, at this time, let's take our break. When we come back, let's talk more about what's going on in Florida, which is your specialty there. We'll talk about some more true crime cases and some of the things that you've run into there in Florida. The book is fascinating, folks. Vampires, Gators, and Wackos is the title. And Frank Stanfield is our guest. We have a link in the description of this show. Folks, go get it right now. You can get it at Amazon.com, wildbluepress.com. Our link will take you to wildbluepress.com, where you can pick it up at other booksellers as well, barnesandnoble.com and others. Like I said, go get it right now. It is fascinating, especially if you are into cases in Florida man, and it ranges from everything to the serious to the wacky. And so when we come back, we will talk about some of those more serious cases, and we'll get into the wacky at the end of the program. Again, our guest is Frank Stanfield, and we're talking about the book, Vampires, Gators, and Wackos, A Florida Newspaper Man's Life. Frank Stanfield, our guest here on the Best in True Crime Podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the Best in True Crime Podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. Our guest is Frank Stanfield, the author of Vampires, Gators, and Wackos, a Florida newspaper man's life. An intriguing book that deals with everything from some of the more serious and bizarre true crime stories out of Florida to some of the more wackier crimes of Florida man out there in Florida. Frank, I want to get into a missing millionaire case that is in your book, which is a story that may not seem unusual, but in a way it is unusual because I don't believe it's ever been solved. Tell us a little bit about this missing millionaire case, in that there's a lot of suspects that have a lot of reasons to see this millionaire off, so to speak. But there's really, how should I put it? There's really no concrete evidence as to who exactly did it.
No, it's what happened back in 1981. This fellow by the name of Neil Haber, he was a millionaire developer, and he had been out of the country, going down to Mexico, and he comes back home, and he's ambushed in his driveway, and he disappears. The car disappears that he's in, and all that. Well, his stepson was at home. He was the only witness. Well, he says, I couldn't see much, and I was, taking drugs and all this sort of thing. So, but he did this really suspicious thing. He was like wiping down blood in the garage, and he was like throwing away this plastic tarp that had blood on it and all this sort of thing. Well, this is a case study, really, if you want, where the police can mess up everything, every which way you can imagine. They just messed it up. And what happened was this is one of the, it's almost like the JFK assassination. Okay, who killed JFK? Well, there's a long list of possibilities. Turns out this guy, he was married, but he had gone off with to Mexico with his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So, his wife supposedly didn't know about this, but maybe she did. Maybe she was suspicious. And there was bad blood, literally, between the stepson and this millionaire guy. And then he was associated with, in his business, with possibly some organized crime figures. He had a whole bunch of people working for him that were possible suspects because he dealt a lot in liquid cash. And just the way he operated, there was a lot of cash running around in different accounts and that kind of thing. So there was some missing money, so it was very interesting. So the police are trying to solve it. And what they do is two detectives decide, okay, we're going to get friendly with the widow and we're going to get friendly with the new business manager, who is now, the widow is hired as the new business manager. She goes from a secretary, this employee, to the business manager.
That's a quick climb.
Yeah, okay. So I'm working one day there in the office and in Leesburg, and one of the ad people come and says, "Look at this full-page ad that the widow's taken out." It was a full-page ad for $5,000, I believe it was, reward for return of the car. not him, but return of the car. So, okay. And it was like a fancy Mercedes, I believe it was. It had all these gadgets on it and everything. It was a nice car. Mm-hmm. So eventually somebody comes across the body inside the car, had been inside the car in the Florida heat for about 3 days. So nobody wants the car now. No. Okay, that's over with. So the widow takes over. Well, everybody's looking at this stepson. The stepson, his story is crazy and sketchy. And then this business manager is she's becoming an amateur detective and trying to get fingerprints from a business associate, all kinds of crazy stuff. It just goes on forever. Mm-hmm. So, you read the story and you follow all the crazy stuff, and you kind of really look at that stepson. Nobody's charged and people are dead now. It happened so long ago, but you can judge for yourself who pulled the trigger.
And it's one of those stories where when you put everything together, it should be obvious who killed Mr. Haber.
Yeah.
You should almost just look at it. But when you look at the stepson, he thinks he's entitled to something he's not entitled to. In reality, Mr. Haber only accounted for $10,000 in his will. Wasn't that all he accounted for Robbie for?
Yeah, because he says he's not good with money.
Yeah, he said he didn't find him to be good with money, and he actually was uncomfortable being around him alone. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, he was not crazy about the idea of going home with only him in the house. It turns out that's probably should have followed that intuition.
And he had some really shady stuff going on as well. He was growing pot plants. Was it in the backyard or?
Yeah. And he told his estranged wife that they should just commit arson on the house and to get the insurance money on his house, and just all kinds of stuff. He had a gun that same caliber as the one that was used to kill Mr. Haber. And then then he found the gun, but was it really the right gun? And like I say, the police just messed this up. And then so the city says, okay, Mr. Police Chief, old school guy, you're fired. We're bringing this new guy in from the sheriff's office. The new guy says, we're going to solve this. No problem. and they take it to the grand jury, and the grand jury says, no, you don't have enough evidence. So nobody pays. Nobody pays for
it. And that's incredible. I mean, so everybody pretty much walks. Mr. Haber is really the only victim here and the one who loses his life.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, there's updates. We won't tell people what happened to each player in this story. I want them to go through and find out themselves. But it's just sad that this man lost his life. And keep in mind, there are other players in this story as well. And again, you can pick up the book for yourself and see who these players are. But it also seems like Mr. Haber didn't have great control over his money. He had bonds floating out there. He had cash floating out there, and people had a lot of different people had a lot of access to his money, didn't they?
They did. And, it's like when somebody's dead, like everybody comes out of the woodwork too.
Yeah.
So there's that too. And so you have to wonder too, okay, so why was all this liquid cash running around and all this sort of thing? Well, one explanation is, okay, you can legitimately draw interest on short-term thing or whatever until the building is done or whatever, maybe. But the other thing is, what about taxes? With all this cash and negotiable bonds and so on. I mean, was he avoiding taxes? Wouldn't be surprising, but it's just a big mess.
Yeah, you're right. There was no, with all that money there, you would think the first people to come collect would be, death taxes and the IRS. You would think that they'd want their taste, but yeah, it just seemed like everybody had their fingers in the pie immediately. I mean, the body wasn't even cold yet, and
right.
Everybody was spending Mr. Haber's money, so it was something else. I guess switching gears here, Frank, that one of the things that we find out, or not find out, but one of the things that I guess you could say, I don't want to say Florida is infamous for, but is how should I put this? Inappropriate contact between adults and children, especially when it comes to the schools with teachers getting involved with students. Yeah. And there's no shortage of that actually in Florida. Tell us a little bit about, there's a case that is quite interesting in Florida that you write about in the book. There's one in particular that I'm thinking of that appears in the beginning of the book. Tell us a little bit about that case.
Deb LaFave. Here's the thing. Deb LaFave was a model. Mm-hmm. Okay, beautiful blonde model. She had modeled bathing suits on the back of motorcycles and all kinds of stuff like this. If you don't mind, I'll read this one sentence to you.
Sure, please do.
It says, blonde, blue-eyed, beautiful, and bewildered looking with her unblinking Barbie-like stare, 24-year-old middle school teacher Deb LaFave was exposed in the white-hot glare of news camera lights. She was charged with having sex with one of her 14-year-old students. She was married, too.
Yeah.
So she is obsessed with this kid. She has sex with this kid in the classroom and in her townhouse in Tampa. And then she gets in a car and is romping around with this 14-year-old kid in the back of the car while his 15-year-old cousin is driving down the road, like I-75, okay, mm-hmm. that kind of thing, mm-hmm. into Marion County. So it's like, okay, why? Why would you do that? I mean, why would you risk your marriage, your career, everything? Why would you do it? So she gets caught, and it becomes like this internet sensation. Everybody, because she's so beautiful and all that, and everybody's just raising all these questions, and people are like saying, well, is this boy really a victim? I mean, this is like a dream come true for a teenage boy probably or something, but that's not appropriate. That's not an appropriate response. So,
yeah.
And so then it gets to be, okay, prosecution time. So she wants a deal. The lawyer's trying to work out a deal. He gets probation in Hillsborough County, but in Marion County, the judge says no, not going to have any probation. She needs to do jail time. So her lawyer says, look, she's too pretty to go to jail. That was his defense. She's too pretty. She'll just be a chunk of meat, and if you throw her in a women's prison, okay. And then it got complicated because the boy's mother didn't want his name out there. Right. And we weren't going to publish his name, the newspaper, but the British press was interested in it and all that. And so his name would have got out there. She said, I just want him to have a normal life. Okay. Forget it. So she ends up, they drop the case in Marion County. She's on probation. And then later on, she gets into trouble because one of the conditions of probation, she's not supposed to talk to anybody about it. So she's telling this young worker she's working at a restaurant. She's telling that, and she gets in trouble for that. And then she asked a judge to dismiss her probation early, and the judge got in trouble for that because he was going to do it. So it's just a huge mess, but it was just the weirdest case. But it was like you could look at her and you could say, well, okay, the porch light's on, but nobody's home,
Right. Yeah.
Until the prosecutor says she's going to jail. Then she got, the light bulb came on, So that was interesting.
She did an appearance, too, with Matt Lauer on Dateline, and she blames the boy, of all people, for being the aggressor.
The mother was mad about that.
Yeah, and she cites she has mental problems from bipolar disorder, and says basically, well, he was aggressive and took advantage of me. Yeah. And expects that's going to get over, that she's going to get, she's going to be exonerated for that.
Right.
Which is the biggest narcissistic move ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, not my fault. That's unfortunately, it's a typical thing. You almost never see a defendant in court say, I was wrong. I was really wrong. I'm sorry. You don't see it.
Right.
People are just oblivious to it.
I'm curious, Frank, about the move that the mom made, because, if you think about it, if you think real hard about it, unfortunately, we've had way too many cases of teachers that have taken advantage of younger students. And in that, the news media almost never, and this includes television as well, at least nowadays, almost never reports a name of the abused child.
Yeah.
And that includes international media. And they do that, not only for the safety of the child and the family, but, it's just the decent thing to do, not to report a name of that child. I hesitate to understand why the mother would not want to see Deb LaFave prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
It's just because she didn't want her son's name out there. And because the British people, TV or whatever it was, and maybe it was going to be on court TV too. Of course, they can block that out. But
Well, follow me on this, if you will. It just seems to me that it seems to me that everybody in the local community has probably figured out who this boy is.
Yeah.
They probably know who it is through local gossip, through whatever channels there is. They probably already know.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Used to be, and it still is, okay, we don't name adult victims either. Okay. But it turns out that a lot of times it's part of the healing process. A lot of these rape victims and so on say, for them to deal with it in public, to talk about it. My first book was called Unbroken, the Dorothy Lewis story. Mm-hmm. And Dorothy was carjacked and raped by these two teenagers, and her young children were murdered.
Oh.
She was shot and left for dead. Well, her name was out there, and I don't even know why initially, but it was out there. And she tells her story, and her story has so much power and impact because of her faith. Her faith carried her through. She helped me write the book. So, and writing the book she said, was cathartic for her. So, and so many people have heard her speak now and been so inspired by her courage and her ability to deal with it. She was able to forgive these characters that did this to her. Mm-hmm. So there's some argument, I suppose. If the victim is okay with putting her name out there, that would be one thing. I mean, I guess we could do that, but we just generally do not.
There's another sex abuse case that is interesting in a different kind of way, and that has to do with Yates. Is it P.D. Yates?
Yes. Yeah, he was a teacher. Let's see. He was at, I think, Umatilla School. And, oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the coach, isn't it? The softball coach.
Yeah, the softball coach, yep.
There's so many of these characters you forget.
Yeah, Leesburg High School.
Yes, right. Okay,
yep.
So
softball coach.
Yes. So he is obsessed with this girl, and he's writing letters to her, which is okay. That's stupid right there, mm-hmm. Because the mother comes across the notes, and then the mother discovers her talking to him on the phone, and basically he gets in trouble, and so he's like not in jail, but they say don't talk to her, don't go near her, whatever, and he takes her out again, takes her over to a motel and all this sort of thing, takes her out to the woods and all this sort of thing. And then he writes a letter to the judge saying, look, I know, you're a judge and you're a responsible guy and everything, but, we're put on a pedestal, because we're public figures or something like that. And it's not right. Everybody makes a mistake, and, he claims he was really, he says the case has political overtones. He says teachers, policemen, religious figureheads, and several other occupations are put on pedestals by society at large. When we screw up, and mind you, we're not supposed to somehow, we're above all that, we seldom get second chances. However, a politician, movie star, sports person, or rock star can, I want to go on to, I'll say, can have sex with a babysitter all they want. Society isn't shocked by it. In fact, they expect it. In other words, he's saying because the public rock star or whatever gets away with it, he should get away with it too. Yeah. That's not good. The judge didn't take very kindly with that either.
Well, then he went on to say that the two of them had fallen in love. He's wrapped up in his own fantasy life of what he thinks this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. And so it's just crazy. It's interesting. There's the criminal basically thinks whatever he's doing, he's justified in doing it. That he justifies it in his own mind, regardless of, and he doesn't care what kind of damage or whatever it does to the victim. That's just part of it. So we call him sociopath or psychopath or whatever it is. But it's just basically selfishness and greed, and I don't care, that kind of thing.
If I could, real quick, Frank, I want to read what else he had told the judge. He said he complained about a police officer who told her horror stories, talking about the abused girl in this case, who told her horror stories about a niece who was ruined by an older man who got her pregnant and then left. He claimed she won't be scarred for life, Yates insisted, referring to the student. Most of the damage comes from the sex-starved, sensationalistic media and the police, he said, maintaining again that the case was about politics and also about revenge. He asked, what good does it do anyone for me to go to prison? Will I get rehabilitation? He said in a question, not hardly. I'll probably get raped, beaten up, or killed. So he was only concerned about what was going to happen to him.
Exactly.
So he was like, let me have my cake and eat it too. And oh, by the way, don't send me to prison because they're gonna hurt me and rape me and kill me. And I'm way too valuable for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He says she won't be scarred for life,
Yeah, and I don't want to be either. So let's just drop this whole thing, okay? Let's just go about our merry way.
Right. And he wrote this letter to a judge. His name was Judge Lockett, and his nickname was Lock Him Up Lockett. Okay. He was hard. You were going to go to jail, in his courtroom anyway. So that wasn't very smart either. So,
and then he ends it with, and this is the most, to have this kind of audacity, Frank, I don't know where you get it from. This is the highest on the narcissistic scale you can get. He told the judge that despite his harsh reputation, you're a human being that is capable of good or bad as the next person. Only God is perfect, Yates said, and maintained that he deserved a second chance just as much as the next guy. What?
And he got a second chance. He told him to initially stay away from her, and he didn't do it.
Right.
He made it worse.
And then he tells the judge, here's where you screw up. Here's where you screw up. He goes, I will leave you with one final thought. Maybe one day you'll be standing in front of the bench instead of sitting behind it. Yeah, I know it could never happen. He says this in parentheses. Yeah, I know it could never happen. That's what I thought too. However, anyone could make a wrong turn or have life deal us a bad blow. The bottom line is this. Would you want a second chance? I think so. No, it's not going to happen to that judge. It just happened to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. The self-justification, the self-denial. It's just unbelievable.
That was amazing. So Judge Lockett, Lock Him Up Lockett, evidently didn't look at that letter and go, oh, you're right, buddy. I'm sorry.
No, he did not.
What did Judge Lockett do there, Frank?
He sentenced him. I forget how many years it was. Let's see.
It was 5 years in prison, counseling, and then probation with all kinds of restrictions.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. No contact with anyone younger than 18. So evidently his dating pool shrunk quite a bit.
Yeah. It was suddenly shifted to some big guy named Lou, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So evidently beaten, raped, and almost killed was in his future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So... well, evidently a wig and lipstick look good on him. So poor Pete.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you this as we're starting to wrap up for today, Frank. Let's get to some of the more wackier stories of Florida man that are in the book. Is there one besides the one that you shared with us at the beginning of the show? Is there one that hits you out of the book that you just kind of is the epitome of Florida man for you?
Well, there was one, it's not a Florida man, typical Florida man story, but the developers here, Florida is the history of Florida is like, we're going to drain the swamp and build all this stuff. All right. Mm-hmm. Or we're going to sell swampland to people and claim it's, lakefront property or some such a thing. So these one characters came in here and they said they were going to build this giant pyramid. And this pyramid was going to be have thousands of people in it. It was going to be built off I-75. And it was going to be a big tourist attraction and a big mausoleum thing and all this. And it was absolutely crazy. I mean, people were like, and this was a rural county. And the people said, I don't want that thing here. I mean, you're the shadow of this massive, it was going to be bigger than the tallest building in Orlando. It's just huge. The shadow alone, I think I did a funny thing on us, is you could stack cows. This area is full of cows. Mm-hmm. You could stack cow one on the other, over 100 cows tall, and all this sort of crazy thing. But and so we had fun with it, with the headlines and stuff. Finally, the county commission voted it down, and so I wrote, "The pyramids are history," that kind of thing. So it's just So every scam, every crazy thing that can happen, it's going to happen in Florida. We had a guy who was a Freddy Krueger fan. And so he attached razor blades to the end of his gloves.
Oh, no.
And scared the heck out of people. Well, I said, okay, here's what happened with him. They sent him back to New Jersey. I said, well, that's unusual because usually wackos come here and stay, so they sent him back to New Jersey anyway. So it's just nuts. I mean, one case, the guy was charged with stealing a lawnmower. And he was easy to track down because he left the blade down and drove it all the way to his shed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Another one was this lady was on trial for shoplifting. And the defense attorney noticed that the jury kept staring at her. And then he looked over at her, and she's wearing the dress that they're showing in the video of her shoplifting. She says, well, you told me to wear my best dress. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We're talking mental giants here.
Oh my gosh. See, that's the sort of stuff we love about Florida. It's just, And let me ask you this, Frank. Why do you suppose, is it now, I can quote a couple of different sources, me being an 80s kid, David Lee Roth had the EP and then he had the song Crazy from the Heat. Would you say it is a little bit of the combination of the heat and humidity in Florida that sometimes gets people to lose their minds down there? Is that what it is?
Well, a couple of things. I had a friend that did security at Walt Disney World, and he says people come down here, and all they see is all the pretty. They don't see anything else. They're walking victims, basically, what it is. Not at Disney World, but all around Disney World. They're blinded by the sun and all the good stuff going on. So there's natural pickets. The other thing is people move here away from their family. They don't have any family support. They don't have mama down here saying, don't do that, behave yourself, that kind of thing. So people just kind of, they're at loose ends, and people come down here, think they're going to make big money by working at Disney, and the streets are paved with gold, and I don't know what they're thinking. And because Florida is just full of swamps and lakes and the ocean and all that, and then we have a lot of hurricanes. I talk about that. That makes people nuts. Believe me, I've seen some really crazy behavior there. And then we have we're the lightning capital of the world. We got sharks. We got a beach here over Lisa County that is the shark bite capital of the world. So there's just a lot of strange stuff going on.
So there's a lot of danger just in general in Florida.
Yeah, there is. People, if they ever knew how to drive, they forget when they get down here. And it's crazy. We get a lot of rain. But you would think when it rains that people have never driven in the rain before. They're all over the road. They can't see. It rains pretty hard sometimes. So instead of getting off the interstate or whatever until it stops raining, they just go and they run into the back of trucks and everything. It's just crazy. It's just a crazy place.
I got to tell you, Frank, one of the worst accidents I think I've ever seen as far as damage and collateral damage on a car was in Newport Richey. I was there visiting family, and it was I'm trying to remember if it was on 19 or where it was, but it was in an intersection on the highway there, and they go like a bat out of hell on that highway. Yeah, especially when they can get going and get rolling. And I don't remember if it was a car trying to cross in front of another car, but it was like a race. The one car was trying to get across the highway. At the same time, this other car was just going to keep going and see if that car could get in front of him before he could hit him.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but the T-bone was the most spectacular thing I've ever seen in my life and the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're this area where I'm at is is near the Villages retirement community. So the place is full of golf carts. Everybody drives a golf cart up there. There's even a bridge over the U.S. highway that's a golf cart bridge. Well, the thing of it is people drive those things around cars, which is dangerous. Then they get really drunk sometimes and drive around cars, and that's not good. So, or they'll get drunk, and there have been cases where they'll drive into a retention pond and drown and stuff. It's just, it's just nuts.
That's a hell of a way to go.
It is.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But it's, and of course, the other day, I was driving home and I saw two police cars on US Highway 441, and they were doing something. Well, it turns out there was an alligator trying to cross the road, and the cops didn't want this alligator to get hurt. So they were kind of blocking traffic, trying to catch the alligator, who was not cooperating, to say the least. And this one guy pulls up in a pickup truck and says, "You want me to get him for you, boys?" And the cop says, "Yes." So they managed to grab his tail and throw a jacket over his head and finally get him out of there. But so you have that kind of thing too. So it's a zoo out there.
Let me ask you real quick. In your years as a newspaper man, do you find that we overreact as a country to the danger of gators, or are they really as dangerous as we think they are? Usually
the people, they will usually leave you alone, but here's the problem. People feed them.
Ooh.
And so they lose their fear of man, or you get into their territory. I talk about cases where people decide to go skinny dipping in a lake at dusk. Well, that's their prime feeding time,
Yeah.
So you're just asking for it. What are you thinking? That kind of thing. It's not always, but a lot of times it's. The other thing is they like dogs. They like to eat dogs. So people will be attacked while walking their dog near the lake or whatever. So you just got to be kind of aware of it. But, there's snakes down here. I'll be working in the backyard sometimes, and a little black snake will run across my feet or something. I'll jump about. I'll set the world high jump record. And scream like a little girl, because I'm just not expecting it, but I should expect it because they're everywhere,
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I just don't like snakes, but so it's a crazy place. We did a TV show once when I was working for the Sentinel about alligators. We're out there with Game and Fish guy. And so this 3-footer swims up to the boat, and the Game and Fish guy says, "Do you want me to catch him?" "Sure, yeah." He's holding it, and we're filming it, where I'm asking questions, all this kind of stuff. And we're on an airboat, and the wind is blowing us out to the middle of this lake, which is infested with alligators, big lake.
Okay.
So we're done, and he says, "Well, I can't put him out here because he'll just be food for the other alligators." So he says, "Here, you hold him while I get back to the shore." I'm going, "Say what now?" So I've got to hold on to this guy, and he's wiggling and carrying on. And the photographer's laughing so hard, I thought she was going to fall overboard. So it's interesting.
That's interesting indeed. I was going to ask you about what kind of snakes you had in your yard, but that's more interesting than the snakes you had in your yard.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have a lot of poisonous snakes in your area of Florida? Yeah.
Yes. Back in the day, back in the early 80s, and I was working at the Leesburg paper, this guy drove up and he says, "Look at this." And he had a full-size pickup truck. And basically the entire back of the pickup truck was full of this gigantic, I've never seen such a gigantic diamondback rattlesnake. The thing was huge. It stretched across the road. That's how he killed it. He drove across it.
Whoa.
So I'm going like, man. So, there's rattlers, there's pygmy rattlers. At one time, a guy at the newspaper was goofing around, and he says, "Oh, look, a baby snake." He picked it up. It was a pygmy rattler. He got bit and almost lost his arm. He got swollen so bad.
Oh, my God.
So there's water moccasins, which are very aggressive. They'll swim up to you to try to bite you in a boat.
Oh.
Or they'll drop down. One guy took his wife out on the boat one day at the Swanee River, and thought he would get romantic with her, and all of a sudden this water moccasin drops down from a tree limb into the boat. He says, that's the end of that. He says, I can still hear her scream in my head.
Oh my God.
So anyway, yeah, there's flying fish that jump and hit you in the head. There's, there's every kind of crazy thing. There's coyotes, there's everything. So it's out there.
In the few times I've been down to visit family, I've never took all this into consideration. So my trips are going to be spaced out more and more. Yeah.
Well, Florida wants you to come down, spend all your money, and then go home. So
yeah,
they want you to do.
I think I'll come down for shorter visits, spend it very quickly, and leave all the same.
Well, this time of year, you want to stay inside anyway. It is blazing hot out there, humid.
I bet. Well, as we're speaking right now, Frank, it's 93 degrees in Minneapolis, and it's just as humid, if not more humid than Florida.
Yeah.
So, we're, 6 of one, half dozen of another, it's that type of deal. We kind of compete for humidity in the summertime with you. So, but in the wintertime, we'd much rather be down in your area.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And it's beautiful here. That's the thing. It's a great place. A lot of seniors come here because there's no state income tax. There's all these homestead exemption taxes and all this sort of thing. And it's warm here. Who wants to shovel snow? It's crazy. So, yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's a great place, but it does get crazy sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, folks, the name of the book again, Vampires, Gators, and Wackos, A Florida Newspaper Man's Life. Frank Stanfield's been our guest. He's the author of that book. It's available at wildbluepress.com, amazon.com, barnesandnoble.com. We also have a link in the description of this program. If you've forgotten all of that, you can click on that link, go order that book right now. I tell you, it's got some intriguing stories. It's got some absolutely frightening stories, some stories that'll send a chill up your spine. And it's got some funny stories at that in there. If you are a fan of Florida Man, you want to go get this book right now. Frank, I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Kids, it's that time once again for us to bring in our buddy, Beer City Bruiser. And it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time once again. It's a Tuesday. It is the second half of True Crime Tuesday. That means one thing. It's time for Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, and we're here with, it's me, Timmy D, and that other guy, the BCB, Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, Bruiser?
I'm doing great, Tim. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. We're fresh off of Father's Day. By the way, happy Father's Day, my friend.
Thank you.
And we have such a loaded lineup. First of all, we want to thank Frank Stanfield, Vampires, Gators, and Wackos, which is the ultimate lead-in with Florida Man. So we thank Frank for that warm-up to get us into Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals. And again, we encourage you to go out and get that book, especially if you're a fan of Florida Man. Nothing's gonna whet your appetite for Florida Man, like 483 pages.
Yeah, you can't beat Florida Man stories. I mean,
right.
That title, the name of that book is perfect, especially for Florida Man stories.
Exactly. And there's some serious stuff like we talked about in there, but there's also some wacky stories as well for a Florida Man. You're going to love what you get. I guarantee it. I think that's from Men's Warehouse. I think I stole that directly from Men's Warehouse, Bruiser. I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I know that. You know what? Actually, I know so because I went to Men's Warehouse for my wedding to get my tux because of that commercial.
That's what convinced you to go get your tux
exactly.
at Men's Warehouse? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, it takes one to know one, I guess. Speaking of Father's Day, the ultimate way to celebrate the day with dad, or maybe have your kids celebrate with you, is to do something together. To find an activity you enjoy. Maybe it's baseball. Maybe go to the ball game. Catch a ball game with your son or your daughter. Maybe it's a little underwater needlepoint. Maybe the two of you enjoy underwater needlepoint.
It could be. I when I was doing my underwater needlepoint this weekend, there was a lot of father-sons, father-daughters there.
There you go.
A lot of father-daughters, which I'm really proud of.
Good.
Yeah. 'Cause I have daughters of my own and I have a son, but like to see him bring the daughters into the underwater needlepoint world makes my heart warm, and to see them having fun and exciting.
Yeah, that's encouraging. That's very encouraging. There's some activities you might want to maybe curtail. You don't want to encourage. I have one of them in front of me.
I'm excited to hear that because now it's a duo.
It's a duo.
It's a duo.
Not a dynamic duo either.
No.
You might not want to encourage your son to get into assault and robbery. Just saying.
No.
And you definitely
want to avoid that.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to encourage it on Father's Day. It turns out that Joshua Franklin Reynolds Sr. and Jr. Decided that, hey, it's Father's Day. You're 20, you're 40. There's only 20 years difference between us. We're spry young fellas. Maybe we should go on a robbing and assault spree. Mm-hmm. They're both from Rome, Georgia. They were arrested this week after they assaulted and robbed a man at knife point. Oh, that's a good bonding way to do it.
They're getting nice and personal.
There's violence, but not too violent. They decided to assault and rob a man at knife point at the Fairbridge Inn on Martha Berry Boulevard. Oh, so they went to a hotel to do it. So there must have been a nice Father's Day buffet.
There had to be. There had to be something going on for Father's Day.
Yeah. Reports said that the men attacked the victim, leaving him with injuries to his face, elbows, knees, and shoulders. Police added that the men then stole $200 in cash. Oh, so they could split it. 100 for dad, 100 for son.
Well, no. I'm assuming it's going to be 150 for dad, 50 for son. So that way the son takes a lesson from it.
Oh, that's right.
There's a lesson in there.
Yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry, Bruiser.
You got to pay that parent tax.
That's right, the parent
It's like trick-or-treating. My kids would come home from trick-or-treating, and I got to go through and take the parent tax.
Wow.
Well, if I'm robbing guys with my son, guess what, son? Parent tax. We robbed this man together, but I'm the dad.
So did you have a heavy parent tax on the jack-o'-lantern, on the goodie bag, so to speak, on Halloween?
I may have.
Really?
Thank goodness they weren't learning about the Revolutionary War at the time. Otherwise, they would have left because of taxation without representation.
Otherwise, your Boston M&M party would have went off without a hitch.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying? Huh.
Yeah. But they got smart as they got older because they started hiding the good stuff when they had me check for the parent tax.
Yeah,
so.
You ended up with the candy apples and popcorn balls, and they ended up
and the pennies.
And the pennies, and they ended up hiding everything else, huh?
Yeah.
I see. Both men were charged with aggravated assault and robbery in that deal. So it didn't matter who got what for money. They both got the same charge.
Do you think the father would yell at the son because he wasn't hitting him the correct way? Like, son, that's not the correct way to do assault and battery. This is the way you do it, son.
Probably. You gotta get in there and you gotta stick them. You see, you don't have the right stance down. You're doing it all wrong. Oh, you're just like your mother. Probably a lot of that going on. Yeah, I'm guessing.
No, mom's got a bill, so dad, so who cares?
Mom likes me better. I'm going to get out first. There's probably a lot of that going on, too. We move on. Of course, since we were talking about Florida in the last segment with Frank Stanfield, let's talk a little bit about Florida here, shall we? And only in Florida can you get a man named Le Genius.
Those parents had high hopes that I don't think he's living up to them if he's in one of our stories.
That they did. We've talked about Le Genius Williams in the past. Turns out that Le Genius, who ain't so Le Genius, has been arrested again. And, surprise, for some really dumb stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes, poor LeGenius. Perhaps a name change is in order for LeGenius Williams, the 22-year-old Floridian who has already served prison time for, get this, Bruiser, attempted murder and robbery, is back behind bars on an assortment of felony gun and drug charges following his arrest last Monday. Police allege that Williams struck his girlfriend in the face with a handgun.
Ow.
Yeah, and then fled the St. Petersburg crime scene in a Chevy driven by another man. That's the genius of it. He didn't put his fingerprints on the steering wheel.
So he could get away with it.
Exactly. Cops performed a pit maneuver to stop the vehicle and then arrested Williams and the driver. A search of the car uncovered a pair of loaded firearms as well as cocaine and fentanyl. That, according to a court filing. I almost said a Fort Kyling. It's one of those
guys
days.
are looking to party with some cocaine and fentanyl, huh?
That's right. One to bring you up, the other to bring you down. That's the genius of the mixture.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Williams was booked into the county jail for aggravated domestic battery, drug trafficking, narcotics possession, and weapons offenses. He's being held in lieu of, guess how much bond?
$500,000.
Oh, no.
No, more?
No, he's a genius. He got a bargain on this one, Bruiser.
Well, now he's a prisoner.
Yeah, he is. Now he's behind bars.
He's going to be someone's bitch pretty soon.
Yes, he is. I'll give you one more shot at this one.
All right, so let's go with $200,000.
Wow, still swinging high. $77,000 bond.
Okay, see, my drug battery and all that is off right now. I gotta get back on.
He only has to come up with $7,000 to get out. That's not bad.
No, Dog the Bounty Hunter lend him that.
Yeah. In 2013, when Williams was only 13, he was arrested for shooting a 15-year-old boy. He was subsequently sentenced to 8 years in prison for attempted murder, as well as an unrelated robbery charge in that deal. 5 months after his release from state prison in late 2020, Williams was arrested for cocaine possession, driving without a license, and illegally possessing a handgun. He was freed last February on $12,000 bond, so the price obviously is going up.
Yep.
That's amazing.
At least he learned his lesson from the first time, because he was pulled over for not having a valid license. This time he went and got a driver.
Yeah.
So he learned something the first time around.
Well, he's getting a little smarter. See? I wonder if his mom is French.
Oh, I don't know. I wonder if his mom's questioning the name now. Like, La Genius, I should have named you La son of a bitch, or La Dumbass.
La Thick in the head. Maybe she was like a Pepe Le Pew fan.
That could be.
Thought it was kind of a neat little name. The 2021 case is pending, and a judge this week revoked Williams' bond in light of his latest arrest. Oh, poor La Genius.
Well, they're not going to let him out because they think he's not going to start another crime, even though last time they let him out, it didn't take that long, it sounds like.
I guess it didn't, no. But poor La Genius. I do applaud him for the name. We stay in Florida because it's that much fun. You remember the story a few months ago about the Florida man who took his meth to the cops to test it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they put out that it might be fake meth, and so he's like, hey, I can't be doing that fake meth. I got to do that real meth.
Right. Well, he's actually come up with a deal with police.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, I'll make a deal with you, lesser sentence. Let's work this out.
Yep.
I'm here to help you.
Yep. He's the genius in this whole deal.
Yes.
He's willing to do his time. The Florida man who gave police 2 baggies of methamphetamine and asked them to test the stash for him will have to perform community service and refrain from using alcohol and drugs as part of a deal with prosecutors, according to court records. 41-year-old Thomas Colucci this month entered into a pretrial intervention contract that defers his prosecution for possession of meth and drug paraphernalia. The The contract requires Colucci to perform 25 hours of community service and pay around $700 in court costs and fees. Additionally, Colucci is prohibited from visiting bars and consuming or possessing illegal drugs. He will also be drug tested monthly and must submit to urinalysis, breathalyzer, or blood tests as requested by probation officers, according to that contract that was filed in court this past week. If Colucci completes successfully his pretrial supervision, the case against him could be dismissed. However, if he were to violate the terms of the contract, Colucci would be tried on felony and misdemeanor counts. Colucci was arrested in March after calling police to say that he wanted law enforcement to test his meth that he had purchased from a drug dealer named JJ. I believe he was on Good Times, if I remember right.
He was.
Whom he met at a bar near his Tampa area residence. When cops arrived at Colucci's home, he handed over 2 baggies containing a crystalline substance. After using some of the drug, Colucci explained he became concerned that JJ had sold him bath salts, the synthetic stimulant, not meth. Colucci, cops reported, said he was a drug addict who had consumed meth in the past and knows what meth should feel like. Noting
meth doesn't meth right. Like, this meth is just, it's off. Something wrong with it.
It's a little off.
I need to find a lab, quick.
To the lab, coppers. Noting that the substance he ingested did not leave a burning sensation. Colucci added that he believed that the meth was
the first time in my life someone wanted a burning sensation.
Right? Yeah, that's not something we all look for.
No, when it burns when you pee, you got to go get that checked out.
That's right. Colucci added that he believed that the meth was actually bath salts from a Google search that he conducted.
Drugs.com, huh?
Yeah, this guy's on top of it. Colucci said he called 911 because he did not want other users to purchase fake meth from JJ. I think
he's thinking others. Yeah, he's thinking others.
That's a Florida PSA if I've ever heard of one. Yeah.
With him right forefront as the poster boy.
Yeah. You see like a little ad on TV with Colucci on it, and he goes, "Don't buy fake meth from JJ. The more you know." Doon, 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 doon. Colucci, who did not know his dealer's real name. Of course you don't.
No, what? He's not on a first name basis with his drug dealer? Come on.
I don't think any of us really are we?
I don't know. I mean, talking to 2 Chainz, I mean, that's where all the good drugs are, I guess. Mm-hmm. He wants to stay away from JJ.
Do any of us really take long walks in the park with our drug dealer, or really spend romantic evenings with our drug dealer getting to know him?
Yesterday, driving home from the airport, we passed there's a little motel off the side there. Yep. And I saw a drug deal go down.
Really?
And the only reason I knew it was because I saw the guy rolling up his bag of weed. But here's why I noticed it. He hugged the drug dealer afterwards.
Now, see, that's a blooming relationship.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he knows his first name.
He's like, bring it in, my drug dealer.
You're hooking me up, man.
That's the hookup right there, bro.
But Mrs. Bruiser looked at me and goes, "They just hug at the end of a drug deal?" I go, "That's what it looks like." She goes, "That's a first I've ever seen."
That's the beginning of a beautiful relationship right there, my friend.
And it totally ruins the whole saying, hugs not drugs, because obviously this guy got drugs and gave hugs.
Maybe they meant snugs, like snuggles, not drugs.
Don't cuddle with your drug dealer.
Right. No cuddling the drug dealer. That would be a great shirt. No cuddling the drug dealer. And then you put it on the drug dealer. And then when he goes to do the deal, caution, don't cuddle the drug dealer.
So then after they make the deal of buying the gram of crack or whatever, and the person comes in, the drug dealer's like, "Whoa, respect the shirt."
Yeah, respect the shirt over here. Take a look. No cuddling the drug dealer. I'm carrying weapons.
We'll do hugs.
We won't
cuddle.
I'll take a hug. Everyone could use a hug.
Everybody.
Anyway, so Colucci, who did not know his dealer's real name, told police that he wanted JJ in trouble because he believed that the drugs that JJ were selling were dangerous. Like meth isn't.
Yeah, that's the bad meth.
I need some of that good old-fashioned 100% organic meth that you would get at Whole Foods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You go to GNC, you buy your good meth, you walk away.
That's right. A field test of the substance handed over by Colucci positively identified the presence of methamphetamine, investigators noted. So Colucci was just a little too high for his own good.
I think he's going to survive on this program, though. It sounds like at the core, he wants to be a good guy. I mean, he's thinking of other drug users when he reported JJ. So
yeah, he's just making sure JJ's on the up and up, and the drug users are getting what they're asking for it. So.
Because you know what? Darn it. Drug dealers deserve pure drugs.
That's right. Let's keep the product good. Let's keep it nice. Let's keep it pure out there.
Why kill each other?
That's right. There's like Denzel Washington said in American Gangster, Blue Magic. That's like Pepsi. It's a brand name. I stand behind that shit. Right?
JJ needs to stand behind his product.
That's right. I don't know why I can quote that, but I couldn't tell you anything about Shakespeare.
I was going to say. But that's because Shakespeare didn't have meth in his place.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, can you imagine a Shakespearean meth drama?
Oh man, if Shakespeare would have wrote Scarface, it would have been a whole different deal.
Thouest taketh over the world.
Saith hello to my littlest friend.
I shall pump snow up my nose.
It would have been a whole different movie. I'm just saying.
It would have been. It would have been. Al Pacino, he would have gone to another level.
He would have.
Yeah.
He would have. It would have been a totally different movie. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's go to Colorado, where a couple narrowly escaped being kidnapped by a 73-year-old former Sotheby's real estate broker who held them at gunpoint on a hiking trail and wrapped a nylon leash around the woman's neck.
He just wanted to take her for a walk.
This story is bizarre, Bruiser.
This sounds bizarre.
It is.
First of all, if you're 73, don't be kidnapping people.
Yeah, right?
Like, there's too much that could go wrong. You're going to have to take your medication at some point in time.
Yeah, this is the time of life where you should probably be putting Asper cream on your joints and sitting around watching things about stair lifts and stuff like that.
Exactly.
A high-end Colorado realtor disguised himself with a fake beard and tried to kidnap a woman at gunpoint as she went trail hiking with her current husband. 74-year-old Carrie Ensley, who has sold million-dollar homes in the Denver suburbs for Sotheby's and Compass, allegedly confronted the couple on June 17th, shortly after 8 a.m., on a trail next to the Bear Creek Golf Course. The man and woman, who had a previous relationship with Ensley and he was barred from contacting, walked by Ensley as he bent down, appearing to tie his shoe. This is where it gets bizarre. Ensley allegedly pulled a gun on the couple and ordered the woman on the ground and then put a nylon leash around her neck.
What? I don't get this.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better.
I'm hoping that it gets better. Like, so far, this plan does not sound good.
No, it's not good at all. The husband was able to take the gun away from the perpetrator at this point.
You think?
Yeah. He didn't plan this out very well. Another hiker who was passing at the same time saw the confrontation and called police. By the time that the Jefferson County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the scene, Ensley had fled, but they discovered him a short distance away. So he really didn't even make a good getaway.
No, he's 73. He probably got winded 45 steps into it and had to take a break.
He munched on a protein bar. He had some water. He thought about it, was looking into the pine trees, and got caught.
He had to take some Geritol.
Yeah. When the deputies approached Ensley, ordering him to stop, he allegedly pulled a stun gun from his waistband and pointed it at the officers.
Because that's going to terrify the officers.
Oh, yeah. They're just going to crumble into a pile of nothing.
It's stunning.
Yes. One of the deputies fired in self-defense, but then missed Ensley.
Okay, I guess that... I don't know how to feel about that, because on one end, you don't want a police shooting. But on the other end, you want the police to be good at shooting because you want them to protect you.
Yeah.
Let me guess, he was wearing a stormtrooper outfit.
Yes, he was. The cop was, yes. The other officer fired a taser at Ensley, hitting him and bringing his bizarre caper to an end. The broker had a past relationship with the woman that went sour when she pressed charges against Ensley's close family relative. According to Jenny Fulton, spokeswoman with the Jefferson County Sheriff, he was trying to get the victim to drop charges against a close family relative, Fulton said. Ensley's persuasion crossed the line in September of 2021, Fulton said, into harassment, and he was charged with intimidation. She would not say who the relative is or what the pending charges are. The spokeswoman who would not say if the case had been resolved. The victim still has a restraining order prohibiting him from contacting her. Ensley was arrested and charged with violating an order of protection, assault, attempted kidnapping, and menacing with a deadly weapon, and disarming a police officer. The realtor was first taken to the hospital complaining of pain from the taser blast, and while at the hospital, get this, he allegedly tried unsuccessfully to disarm the sheriff deputy.
This is a ballsy 73 or 74-year-old. Like, good for him for trying at least.
This guy has seen one too many movies.
He has. He thinks he's Jason Bourne.
Yeah. Ensley was later transferred to the Jefferson County Jail, where he is being held without bail. Sotheby's in Denver confirmed to the Daily Mail online that he once worked there, but refused to discuss his arrest.
So that's we know of him. That's all we're going to say.
Yeah, we know he's worked here. That's about it.
You young whippersnappers, drop the lawsuit and get off my lawn.
Not only that, but I'll take your taser. It's mine now.
Listen here, young sheriff. You want to hold me? I was holding people before you were in diapers. Give me your taser.
It's mine now. You'll never get it back. It's mine. Now for something completely more bizarre.
Oh, we can get more bizarre than 74-year-old men attempting to kidnap ex-girlfriends and disarming police, huh?
It's a strange world we live in, Bruiser.
It is.
You know, I used to be a big fan of the Uber.
Okay, yeah, I still Uber.
Yeah, Ubers are fun. You know, especially when you're in a strange city, you need to get around, and you need to get from here to there.
Yeah.
Uber drivers never get enough credit. They just don't.
Yeah, that's true. I try to give credit to all of my Uber drivers.
Yeah, they just they seem to take a lot of abuse. They never get.
I have to say, there's only been one Uber driver in my life that I didn't give accolades to, and that's because she almost killed us.
Really?
Oh yeah, we were on a freeway. There was 3 of us in the car, and we were driving, and all of a sudden, like, Brian noticed there was a truck in front of us stopped on the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, truck." She goes, "Yep." And he goes, "Truck." She goes, "Yep." He goes, "No, seriously, truck." And then she had to slam on the brakes, and we almost rear-ended the truck.
Oh.
And it was like she pulled around him, and she's cursing at him, but it's like traffic then all of a sudden just came to a standstill. There'd been an accident or something. But she's just cursing this truck driver and almost hit 3 or 4 other people. And for the first time in my life, when we got out of the Uber, we're like, thank God. And I kissed the ground like, I'm alive. And so she did not get a good review from us.
No, I wouldn't think she would. Dear God. Well, I can throw this story away. That was a better story than what I'm about to tell you. A terrifying moment is in this story where a passenger savagely beat their Uber driver before threatening to kill him during a bizarre late-night attack. I think this is every Uber driver's worst nightmare.
Yeah, so the Uber driver threatened to kill, or the passenger?
No, the passenger. The passenger just went nuts on the Uber driver.
Yeah, you can't go nuts on your Uber driver.
No. An Uber driver has been left temporarily blinded in one eye after he was allegedly savagely attacked and threatened by a passenger. Confronting dash cam footage has emerged showing driver Moise Akash being punched and choked by a man that entered his car on Sunday night. Mr. Akash was picked up, or had picked up the man in a street in Perth for an Uber ride, according to Washington police. The man allegedly entered the car in an aggressive manner. How do you enter a car in an aggressive manner? Do you just whip open the door and sit down angrily?
I'm picturing that, or I'm picturing Dukes of Hazzard style, where he just came and ran and jumped through the window. Roll your window down, huh? Roll your window down. Okay.
And then you just
Woo!
run in and woo and jump through the window. So he entered the car in an aggressive manner and punched and spat on Mr. Akash, who put up his arms in a defensive position. The situation had reportedly de-escalated before the man realized he was being recorded on the vehicle's dash cam, prompting him to start his vicious attack. He said, "I'm going to kill you tonight. You're going to die tonight."
What the hell?
Yeah, Mr. Akash recalled to 7 News. The driver claimed he was unable to breathe for upwards of 10 seconds when the stranger choked him. But Mr. Akash managed to fight back, biting the man's finger after it had slipped into his mouth. Ow.
Yeah, that would hurt.
Yeah. Both men then exited the vehicle where the stranger allegedly threatened the driver yet again. I get out of the car. He runs behind me and saying, "I'm going to kill you tonight," Mr. Akash said. He then returned to his car minutes later and fled the area. Mr. Akash said he had initially installed the dash cam in his car in the off chance he was attacked while he was working. He's vowed never to drive for Uber again.
Well, it's not Uber's fault. I mean, I get why he doesn't want to do it, but you can't blame Uber.
No, true.
Because it wasn't the Uber driver doing it. It was the passenger. But I want to know what that guy must have had a bad day or something.
That's a hell of a bad day. You just decide, I'm going to kill an Uber driver.
Well, there was a story a few years ago about the guy that was stabbing Uber drivers with a machete.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah.
This guy just, you don't know.
I don't know. That
Maybe he found out his grandfather got arrested for trying to kidnap somebody, so he was upset and decided to take it on the Uber driver.
Oh, that could be too. Who knows?
I'm glad the Uber driver's okay. I'm not trying to laugh at a bad situation.
Right.
And that's why I remember the first time I got in Uber and I saw that they were recording and couldn't figure out why, but it makes total sense now why they record all the rides.
That's why they record them, in case there's such an incident such as that.
I always thought it was for like the Taxi Cab Confessions TV show. Remember that?
No, it's not. Just in case they want to get freaky with the Bruiser. By the way, that is going to be our new reality series, Getting Freaky with the Bruiser, coming to HBO this fall. And HBO Max, yeah. Getting Freaky with the Bruiser.
Is that just me driving around picking people up?
Yes, yeah. So it's kind of like Cash Cab and kind of like Taxi Cab Confessions.
Gotcha.
So it's either playing for money or playing for a little wow. So
there's gonna be no rear on my end. My wife would not have that.
Well, I'm just saying. But yeah, so if you get in the Uber with the Bruiser, that's kind of how it goes down. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting Freaky with the Bruiser. This fall on HBO.
Just no beating me up or stabbing me with machetes. That's a written rule. Like we're gonna have to have people sign a waiver before they get in saying those two specific things.
Yeah, exactly. I love the way I did the read at the end there. Getting Freaky with the Bruiser this fall on HBO. It's kind of happy. It's just
it is.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see this show, and I guess I'm starring in it.
You are. You're the star of it. You don't know it yet, but hey, you're in on it, dude. That's you.
All right.
Speaking of and you know what? Evidently, we've got a place for you to drive. And in this show. And we've got the perfect people to be in your cab, in your Bruiser Uber, if you will. The Spanish.
Let's be straight here. I'm not driving. I'm just the passenger because I'm going to be drinking beer while we do this.
What?
So my co-star will be the driver.
So I got to drive?
Yeah.
I drive a left-footed accelerator, right?
Yeah, I know.
So they got to custom fit an Uber for me to drive.
Hey. We got a budget. Let's do it.
We got a budget from HBO. The HBO accountants are going over the bill for this thing, and they're like, who in the hell gave the okay for a left-footed accelerator in an 82 Monte Carlo?
And there's another executive going, trust me, they pitched this show. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Cruiser and the Bruiser in an Uber. Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah. Okay, so the Spanish Sea is where we're taking the Uber to.
Oh, I've never been. Let's go.
And evidently British tourists are who we're...
Hello.
Hello. Are you the Bruiser?
I'm the Bruiser. This is the cruiser.
British tourists evidently are having a tough time finding not only the Uber, but the toilet at the Spanish Sea. They're putting down new rules over there because tourists are now becoming jailbirds. Evidently, the Spanish Sea is the world's biggest toilet.
Of course it is.
People are not finding Johnnies or portable toilets or porta potties. They're going to be fined $645 for going to the toilet in the Spanish Sea under new rules. Spain has said it will start fining people for hundreds of dollars, or pounds rather, for urinating in the sea. Britons could face those fines if they are caught urinating in the sea off the Spanish coast.
They got to figure out, like, just bring a swimsuit with you and go into the sea. Because how are they going to prove you're peeing? You know?
It's like in South Park in the pool, everything goes yellow.
Yeah.
Maybe they've got special chemicals in this.
They got chemicals so it turns blue or something.
Yeah. Lawmakers in Vigo, a city in the Galicia region, said anyone found relieving themselves in the sea or on the beach will be forced to shell out 645 pounds. What is that in American money? Almost $700?
Yeah.
I think so. The city council has branded public urination a minor infraction and an infringement of hygiene and sanitary regulations.
Well, yeah.
Isn't urine sterile?
Yeah, but do you really? Feces isn't.
Well, I thought this.
And trust me. The smell of urine's horrible. I've been to Chuck E. Cheese. Like, never go in the ball pit or the tubes at Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, that's because kids shit in the ball crawl. I know. I used to have to clean it out.
See, so I worked. You know how the government feels with the Spanish thing.
I worked the game room. I used to dress in costumes, dude.
See,
that was my first real job.
You understand the government, then you should be the number one supporter of this because you worked at Chuck E. Cheese.
They call me in to be the urination police,
hey, Cruiser,
over there.
Cruiser, we need some help here, Cruiser. You come in. You're a urine expert.
Here's the deal. We need you to police the urination and the defecation in the sea. I know it's an Italian accent, but...
And they're going to make you wear a costume while you do it.
Here, you put on your old Chuck E. Cheese outfit. You dress like a mouse. You go scare the shit out of them so they go in the potty. Okay.
Okay, sure.
So I'll dress up like Chuck E. Cheese and twirl my tail like I used to, and little kids will come running up and go, "It's Chucky!" and headbutt me in the nuts like they used to.
Yeah. But they'll be British. So they'll be, I don't know how to do a British
It's Chucky.
It's Chucky.
Chucky, look at you, Chucky. I'm so drunk right now. Chucky, will you do horrible, inexplicable things with your tail to me?
Chucky, I'm gonna urinate now. Take a whiz.
Right. So town officials are planning to install public toilets on beaches.
Well, that's smart.
Would have made more sense to begin with.
I was going to say, why did they start that? You have a public beach, put in a public urinal, public bathrooms.
Yeah. During the high season, where everybody is smoking dope, evidently, to accommodate any beachgoers bursting for the loo. The name of my new album, by the way.
There it is.
Bursting for the Loo by the Ball Crawl Boy.
It's just a picture of your album art is Chucky coming out of a porta potty.
Yeah, with the big smile on his face. Yeah. But the town council said it could go further than firing people for urinating in the sea. That was a great Robert Plant song, by the way. Urinating in the sea. I believe the Honey Drippers did that one. The clampdowns came right after Spain said bikini wearers had to beware on their next visit to the beach, saying authorities could or would impose fines for anyone inappropriately dressed when on the street. But it's not only bikini-wearing Brits who are at risk of a fine if they forget to cover up before heading away from the sand. Men seen without a top on are also subject to the new rules, Bruiser.
What?
Yes. You better cover up, son.
You got to, so no shirt, no shoes, no service type thing, huh?
Yeah, no shirt, no shoes, no pounds. They're gonna take away your money.
Oh. Mm-hmm. So you could judge your value by how much they fine you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You're not in shape, you lose more pounds. Spain is also cracking down on littering, fining anyone who leaves rubbish or takes a gas cylinder or barbecue to the beach. Using soap in the sea is also banned. So you can't even wash your ass in the sea.
You can't take a bath in the sea, huh?
Nope. Beachgoers caught playing bat and ball or attempting to reserve a spot on the beach with a towel will also be fined. Who shoved a stick up these guys' ass?
I was going to say, these guys have never been to the beach before, have they?
Nope. They'll also be fined under the bylaws that came into force on July 18th of last year.
You know what we need to do, Tim?
What's that?
We need to send them some of those old videos of all those old beach videos that starred the
Frankie and Annette.
Frankie
and
Annette. Yep.
Yeah.
We need to send them all those videos and go, look, this is how a beach is supposed to be run.
And they'll go, why does everybody have a weird haircut?
Everybody's dancing. I don't get why.
So, get this. Okay, so, oh God, this is giving me a headache. So, sparking off the new rules, Majorca and Ibiza announced earlier in the year that holiday makers will be limited to just 6 drinks a day on their all-inclusive holidays.
Okay, that's crossing the line.
Bruiser's coming to beat the shit out of you.
I'm sorry. If I'm going to the beach to hang out with my buddies and I'm on holiday, I'm not stopping at 6.
And they're breaking it up for you here, Bruiser. So the number of drinks on the all-inclusive holiday limited to 6, 3 at lunch, 3 at dinner.
Yeah, okay, nope. They have lost a tourist. I have to wear my shirt and I can't drink.
The Balearic government in January banned the sale of alcohol in shops between 9:30 p.m. and 8 a.m., as well as pub crawls, 2-for-1 drinks offers, and happy hours at certain spots in Magaluf, El Arsenal, and Playa de Palma in Mallorca, and Sant Antoni de Portmany in Ibiza. So there you go.
I'm not going to take them out for a drink.
Right.
Jeez.
Right. It's just, it just gets more disgusting after that. So I'm not, so screw them. Screw the Spanish Sea. You know what? Yeah. I'll do more than just piss in it. I'll drop a deuce. I will drop the Cosby kids off at the pool. I'm in. Yep.
And we're going to do it with our shirts off, too.
That's right. I am. You're going to see all of my hairy back.
Yeah, we're doing all of it.
Yep.
And you and I are drinking at least 7 drinks between the two, like at the same time, just to piss them off.
We're drinking as many Steve Weisers as it can fit in both our hands at the same time.
Yep. Someone come on, take a picture. Bruiser and the Cruiser taking a shit in this beach, holding up a bunch of beer without our shirts on.
Screw you, Ibiza. We're coming to drink and piss and shit in your sea. That's all there is to it. Just wait. We don't know when we'll get there.
Well, no.
We don't have any reliable transportation with gas prices the way they are. We won't be there anytime soon.
Yeah.
But, someday.
And, we don't want to let them know when we're coming because it'll be ready for us.
It's going to be a sneak
But it's happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll see.
And we're going to have this story, and we're just going to hold this story. We'll mount this story in front of us. So when they come over to ask us why, we're just going to point.
Yep. Just going to say, read this.
Yep.
This is our protest.
Yep. And we're going to have a whole bunch of British people cheering us on.
That's right. Way to go, mate.
You're shitting real good, mate. Way to go.
That one's a banger, that one is.
Look at the size of that.
Is that the Loch Ness Monster? Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Florida man, we're back to Florida now.
Oh, we're back
to common sense. Florida man in cow pajamas is among 6 people arrested during a drug bust.
He knew that he wore the cow pajamas because he's like, hey, if we're getting busted, I'm going to be the one standing out.
I'm the only sane one in this crowd. Authorities in Florida arrested a group of individuals for drug and ammunition charges, of course, earlier this past week, including one man who was found in cow pajamas. Richard Anthony Bonnell was wearing a one-piece black and white spotted cow pajamas with pink cuffs, a pink hat, and a pink collar. Oh, that's so cute.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah. When Okeechobee County Sheriff's Office deputies arrested him and 5 other individuals this past Friday. That's so cute.
Seeing it work because they're not naming the other 5 individuals. They're just naming him.
The others, you'll never hear of them. And they even took a picture of the guy too.
Oh, see, of course. He went into that knowing that if he's getting busted, they're going to know it was him.
He's like, I'll take the heat, guys. You guys go home and live a normal life. Watch this. The arrest came as Narcotics Task Force and Special Response Team members were executing a narcotics warrant at the Okeechobee home. If you want to deal drugs in Okeechobee County, you may want to consider moving, the Okeechobee County Sheriff's Office said following the incident. The officer said methamphetamine, ammunition, and drug paraphernalia were found during the search, prompting the arrest.
No, you're kidding.
No, I'm not. Bonnell looked utterly confused when he was arrested, police said.
Oh, that's because did he use the excuse he thought he was going to a barbecue?
Oh no!
I thought this was a barbecue. I swear to God.
He had a sign up in front of him that said "Eat more chicken." David Allen Lewis, Monique Rumsley, Carly Lacey, and Kimberly Stein, who will all never be remembered, were also arrested at the scene for possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia. Police said, "I'm going to hold this up so you can see this. You can see the fine. Hold on a second here. You can see the fine facial tattoos that Mr. Bonnell has."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he willingly put that on his face, too.
Yeah, he did. I think he drew it in marker. One is an anarchy sign. He's got one right below his right eye. It's an anarchy sign. The other looks like a small dinosaur mouse crapping out a T in an octagon. So I don't know what that is.
I don't know either, but he made those decisions.
Yeah, he did. And he's an adult and he can do that. Yep. Rumsley was additionally charged with the sale of methamphetamine, while Bonnell was additionally charged with possession of ammunition by a convicted felon. The Okeechobee County Sheriff's Office encouraged anyone with tips on drug-related activities to give them a call because they want to see what other pajamas everybody else in the county is wearing.
Am I missing something? Could he not fit guns in the cow costume? That's why he's only selling bullets?
I don't know.
Because you didn't say anything about guns. You just said ammunition. So, did he just show up and be like, hey, I got a bunch of bullets that I can sell you?
He just takes the bullets out of his udders and throws them at you. That's all he's got. And throws them at you.
Hey, milk me. What? Just trust me. Ha, that's a 45 caliber right there.
When he goes to milk. What's happening here? You'll see. Well, let's move on. We're going to Alice Springs. This is an unusual story. A 41-year-old woman suffers significant hair loss after a wild brawl with a teenage girl who's only 16 at a taxi stand during a night out.
Okay.
A teenage girl allegedly pulled a woman's hair from her head.
Ouch.
Yeah, that takes a little bit of strength during a fight in the Alice Springs City Center. The 16-year-old assaulted the 41-year-old at a taxi rank, they're calling it. That's a foreign term. Yeah. About 6 a.m. on Sunday after the pair argued. That's according to Northern Territory Police. The youth is alleged to have grabbed the woman by the hair before she began physically assaulting her, causing the woman to fall to the ground. That according to a spokeswoman.
What is a 16-year-old doing up that early in the morning?
I have no idea. 2 off-duty officers driving home after night shift saw the alleged assault near Bath Street taxi rank. They came to the victim's aid and arrested the youth after she continued attacking the woman while she was on the ground. The woman suffered facial injuries and significant hair loss and was taken to Alice Springs Hospital. The teen was taken to the Alice Springs Watch House, where she was charged with 1 count of recklessly endangering serious harm. Who's serious harm and why was she recklessly endangering her? That's what I want to know. Officers also charged her with obtained benefit by deception over the alleged possession and use of a stolen bank card.
Oh.
That's a long charge. The teen was remanded into custody by police. She was scheduled to appear in the local court in Alice Springs yesterday. We don't have an update on that story, however. Let's see here. Okay. So here's the part in the program now where we, even though it's been a little rough so far, kids, we're telling you now earmuffs. And if you're an adult there in the audience, we now tell you that we're getting to the not safe for work part of our program. So you probably want to turn your speakers down or at least put on headphones so that nobody else in the area around you hears the rest of the program. We start in California, Bruiser, where a man hid a camera in the Starbucks bathroom in California and filmed 45 women and children.
Oh, gosh.
Now, see, we had something similar to this happen in Minnesota recently.
Yeah.
Where a man admitted to putting 2 peepholes in the bathroom of the Minnesota State Fair in the men's room.
There was a man in Milwaukee that was going around to all the Wisconsin athletic clubs and putting cameras in the locker rooms.
Mm-hmm. This guy at the Minnesota State Fair admitted that he'd been doing it for almost a decade.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And
no one caught him?
So one of the state fair workers had seen the peepholes and he thought they had been covered over. He just left it there.
He just left them.
Yeah, we're not too bright here in Minnesota. I'll just leave it at that.
Never mind the hole. It's supposed to be there.
I saw the 2 peepholes, there, but I thought somebody put, Flex Seal tape over her, so I left her alone.
Oh, no. They put the Farrah Fawcett poster over there, hey.
Yeah, but we thought it was too stimulating for the kids, so we decided to put something else over it, but it turns out the peepholes are still open. California man placed a hidden camera inside a Starbucks bathroom and filmed dozens of unsuspecting women and children, according to police. The camera was disguised as a coat hook and affixed to a wall adjacent to a toilet for 2 days last month. 25-year-old William Zafra Velasco was arrested earlier this month by Glendora Police Department officers who executed search warrants at the San Dimas home of the unemployed student. That sounds like a weird school, doesn't it?
The unemployed student? Like, why would you go to an unemployment school?
I was going to say, it sounds like a weird church. The San Dimas home of the unemployed student. I've been to that church plenty of time. They have a weird deal when it comes to communion, but other than that, yeah.
And they don't ask for donations too much.
No, well,
that's all they ask for is donations.
It interferes with their unemployment. That's why they don't ask for donations.
Yeah.
Detectives examining Velasco's computers discovered disturbing video of at least 45 female victims using the restroom, including children. Oh, no.
Yeah, don't film children. And why are you putting a camera in a coffee shop bathroom? I don't know about anybody else, but coffee makes me poop.
Well, maybe there's something to it.
Nobody wants to watch me poop.
No, well, not in this case, no. Velasco, pictured in the above mugshot that you can't see because it's podcasting, was charged with secretly videotaping 45 victims for sexual gratification. He's free on $50,000 bail. He's scheduled for a June 21st Superior Court appearance, which, believe it or not, today is the 21st.
Yeah.
Cops do not believe that the bathroom videos were uploaded to the internet or distributed in any other fashion. In addition to the video, the surveillance device was equipped to record sound. After the camera was discovered by a Starbucks employee, police were summoned to the restaurant where they photographed the device. Evidence photos show the hook on the wall next to a sink. A third photo shows the view from the hidden camera's vantage point. Police identified Velasco following a review of Starbucks surveillance video showing him entering the cafe. Over a 2-day period last month, police allege Velasco would enter the bathroom every hour and remove the camera. He would then go to his car and download its videos to his laptop. How would you not catch this guy if he was doing that?
Starbucks has thought he was a really good customer.
Jeez.
But yeah, if he's going in there every hour for 2 days straight.
Yeah.
Like that would raise suspicions.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, I get this guy's a frequent flyer, but nobody needs that much coffee.
Yeah, exactly. He would then return to the bathroom and affix the coat hook to the wall. That, to me, that just says, something suspicious.
Yeah. And how come they're not giving him child pornography charges?
Yeah.
He had children on that video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he should.
They need to throw the book at this guy.
Yep, exactly. We return to Florida in the ultimate in irony, or as Alanis Morissette said, isn't it ironic, don't you think? A Florida man has stolen a wave runner, but he doesn't know how to drive it, and he doesn't know how to swim.
He's in the wrong profession.
He's just like, dude, I just want the wave runner.
What's he going to do, drive it on land?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
He's going to dock it and take cool pictures for his social media?
Yeah, he's like, dudes, guess what? I own a wave runner. It's pretty chill. It's pretty cool. I just like set it up in my living room and I chillax and relax, and it's pretty much my gig. It's my deal. It's what I do. I believe this is an audio daily double. Let's see if we can go to it now and play this story for you, because it's a little disturbing to know that this guy has all this stuff and he doesn't know how to use it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Hey guys, quick question.
Yes, sir.
We got a guy down here that's trying to steal a jet ski. He's on the jet ski in the river. Is there any way you could take a couple of us down there to him?
Sure.
Okay.
You want to take the boat? You can take it. Come back.
He's willing to let us use the boat. You can. I know you got lots of boating experience. Hey! Right here! Sheriff's office! Sheriff's office! Put your hands! Put your hands up! Come over here! Come over here! What? Swim! So you're gonna take a jet ski and you don't know how to swim? You got a line? Throw him in line. Don't tie it off.
Did you say when's that plane come flying?
Look at here. Look, I'm tossing you this rope. Tie it to the front of the jet ski.
Okay, where's the front?
Do you have any weapons on you? Take this line and tie it to the front of the jet ski. Any weapons, guns, knives, anything.
So right now he's pulling the jet ski into the sheriff's boat.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Sergeant Turner, by the way.
Nice
I gave him a card. Okay. I'm Sergeant Turner. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Y'all did great.
Here, I'll please go. Let me go give this to these guys.
Kind of fun, huh?
Did he thank the cop when he got arrested? Like, oh yeah, y'all did great.
He was like, yeah, thank you. No, that wasn't him thanking. That was the people whose wave runner got stolen.
Well, I find funny about that clip, besides the fact the guy stole a wave runner, doesn't know how to drive, is the cop goes, hey, can you take us out there? And the guy's like, sure, you want to take a boat? No, I just want to swim and catch this guy.
Yeah, I just want to do the backstroke and go get him. But as they took the boat out there, here's this guy sitting in the middle of the water, the thing's not moving, and the guy, the sheriff has his gun drawn, and he's going out there on the boat. It looks like something out of Miami Vice.
Yeah.
He's approaching on the boat. He's got his gun drawn and he's like, freeze! And the guy turns around and he looks horrified. He's more horrified to be in the middle of the water, not know how to swim, and not know how to drive the wave runner. The cop doesn't scare him. Being in the middle of the water scares him. So then he's like, I don't know how to swim. I don't know how to drive this thing. Save me!
Why steal it? Okay, I get it. Impulse. If you're, was it a kleptomaniac? Impulse?
Yep.
But still, you got to be like, I could steal that, but what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly. What am I going to do with this thing? I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. I don't have.
Well, thank you, Florida.
Yeah.
So mental note, kids, do not steal a wave runner if you cannot swim or know how to operate a wave runner.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
And they're not hard to operate either. You sit on them, you start them, and it's just like a motorcycle, or it's got a trigger thing for a throttle. It's not hard.
Yep. You just take off on it. You're good to go. Let's move on to Philadelphia, the Florida of the North.
I've been to Philadelphia, and you're absolutely right.
This is an unusual story where a DoorDash driver is accused of shooting a Chick-fil-A worker following a milkshake argument. You can't make it up, Bruiser.
Well, at least he went to Chick-fil-A, not McDonald's, where the milkshake machine's always broken.
That's how McDonald's workers stay alive.
You just know off the bat their ice cream machine's not working.
That's right. DoorDash workers don't even bother McDonald's workers about a shake because it never works. A 26-year-old delivery driver was arrested for allegedly shooting a teen fast food worker after accusing him of leaving out a milkshake. According to NBC Philadelphia on Monday, June 13th at around 8:30 p.m., the suspect, Tyquan Austin, went to the Chick-fil-A on the 800 block of Adams Avenue to pick up an order. An employee brought the takeout order to Austin. That's a tough sentence to say. An employee brought the takeout order to Austin, who then allegedly started arguing with him and demanded to know about a second milkshake he claimed was supposed to be in the order. The employee reportedly told Austin the receipt listed only one milkshake, and Austin continued to argue. WPVI TV reports that Philadelphia Police Captain John Walker said in a press conference the Chick-fil-A employee asks to see the receipt, and the occupant of the car refuses to show the receipt. He then sees the driver of the vehicle pull out a gun and put it on his lap. I think at that point we produced a second milkshake. Our life isn't
I'm just getting you another milkshake at that point in time. If this milkshake is that important to your status with DoorDash, I'm getting you the milkshake.
That's right. We don't need an argument that intense. According to WTXF TV, Austin allegedly got in his car, circled the location, then opened fire, aiming at the entrance of the restaurant.
So he didn't care who he hit. He was trying to hit the milkshake machine, probably.
I guess. The 17-year-old was struck in the leg.
Oh.
The Philadelphia District Attorney's Office reportedly noted in a statement the shooting was unprovoked and endangered multiple people beyond the shooting victim, who was wounded in the leg and is expected to recover. Police located the car on the 4000 block of Glendale Street and found .40 caliber magazines.
Jeez.
That's a bullet. Austin reportedly did not have a permit to carry the firearm. DoorDash said in a statement, "We are horrified and appalled by this brazen act of violence and have banned the perpetrator from our platform. We are fully supporting." I would hope so. There's a way to get what you need, and there's a way to get what you need. That is not a way to get what you need. We are fully supporting law enforcement with their investigation and hope justice is served. We've reached out to the victim to offer our support, and our thoughts are with him and his family as he recovers. CBS.
What about the people whose food it was? Did they offer them anything?
Right, exactly. Well, you know what they offered them? $5 off the order.
$5 back.
Yeah, that's what it was. CBS Philadelphia reports Austin has been charged with aggravated assault, possession of an instrument of crime, simple assault. That ain't simple. And reckless endangerment. So there you go.
And anger management.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, if I DoorDash ever again, I'm going to make sure, hey, you're unarmed, right? Okay, cool.
Exactly. We get into the point now here where not only is love blind, but love also is carrying a weapon.
Oh, of course. I love when love carries a weapon. We had the one gentleman get shot because of the oral sex incident, so...
Yeah, there was that. The other week. This is right up that alley there, Bruiser. A 49-year-old California man was bludgeoned a coworker, 56, to death with an irrigation pipe after colleagues bullied him because his ex-girlfriend had started an affair with the man. This is why you don't dip your pen in the company ink.
Yeah.
A California man has been arrested for bludgeoning his coworker to death with an irrigation pipe because the man was having an affair with his ex-girlfriend and colleagues had made fun of him. Yikes. 49-year-old Jose Gutierrez Rosales is accused of killing his coworker, Hector Javier Castaneda Vasquez, 56, on April 18th, when the pair were working at a job site near Lamont, California.
Oh, they worked like close together too.
Yeah.
You definitely don't do that.
No. We were there picking up the irrigation pipes, Gutierrez Rosales told investigators. I ate about 2 tacos and I felt my body like strange. And then all of a sudden I grabbed the pipe and I just started going at him.
Well, why did he?
What was in the tacos?
What are the tacos? Yeah, why did he mention he ate 2 tacos? Like,
was it like steroids? What's in the tacos?
Where did you get those tacos, and how do we either A, get them because we have to go to the gym and lift heavy weight, or B, avoid them altogether?
Right. As he was beating Vasquez with the metal pipe, Gutierrez Rosales told him, "This is for getting involved with my family." Vasquez suffered multiple facial fractures, cuts to his face, back of his head, and lost several teeth during the fatal attack.
Ouch.
Ow.
He went to what was in those tacos? Hey, man, these tacos are so good. I'm going to beat you with this pipe.
What kind of tacos? Carne asada? Shredded chicken? I don't know.
Was it hard shell, soft shell? We need to know.
It's got to be soft shell street tacos. I got to think corn tortillas.
Amazing. Yeah.
At least one witness tried to tell Gutierrez Rosales to stop the attack, and others later told investigators they could only see him from a distance and thought that he was attacking a snake. I got to think that the guy being attacked was a little bigger than a snake.
Yeah, how could you only see the one guy and not the other? And who hits a snake that many times to do that much damage to the human body?
Yeah. Vasquez's body was found on DeGiorgio Road by deputies later that day after witnesses reported the fatal beating to them, so he didn't even move the body.
Oh, gosh. Well, yeah, because the tacos wore off.
Well, yeah, there's that, and I suppose he was full and exhausted afterwards.
Yeah.
The Kern County Coroner's Office determined that Vasquez had died of multiple blunt force trauma, and his death was ruled a homicide. Gutierrez Rosales, who had fled after the attack, was arrested 10 days later. Took 10 days.
10 days to catch that guy?
Yeah. And charged with first-degree murder. He told investigators that he was laughed at and bullied by his coworkers regarding the alleged affair, claiming that he was provoked. It's unclear from the documents if Gutierrez Rosales was actually married to the woman. A woman whose name is redacted from the court documents was told investigators she and Gutierrez Rosales were in a relationship for 3 months. She said they had separated several weeks before the killing because he had anger issues. No.
No, not him.
Get out of here.
Every time he ate a taco, he just got violent. I don't know why.
He lost his shit. Gutierrez Rosales is being held without bail. He's due back in court on June 28th. I can't believe it took 10 days to find him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm tripping out about.
They had to go back to that taco shop, get the video, make sure it was him. And it's not like he's hiding either, like it sounds like. Like, why did it take so long?
Yeah, it's not like he's, yeah, you're right. You're right. This next one, Bruiser, I need a little musical accompaniment, if I may. We go to Indianapolis. It's time to get down with the sounds, my friend. It's time for a little bump and grind.
Oh, yeah.
Put the kids to bed, or at least lock them up in their bedroom. Who knows if they're asleep. A 32-year-old woman faces child neglect and other charges after she allegedly left her young kids at home to have sex with her boyfriend outside. That's right, there's nothing like the good old outdoors when you need to knock them boots. Which then involved her allegedly shooting her boyfriend during an argument. Evidently, what goes on outside can turn fatally, horribly wrong.
She was probably like, you don't understand how I got those kids down. They went down for a nap. They're only down for a little bit. We got this much time. We're having sex now. And he's like, baby, I just want to talk. That's all I want to do. She's like, no, blacka.
Marion County jail records show Tanika Miller was taken into custody June 10th for reckless homicide and 2 counts of neglect of a dependent in connection with the shooting that reportedly occurred at the end of May. According to WXIN TV, on May 27th at approximately 2 a.m., Indianapolis Police Department officers responded to the 10100 block of Tinton Court and found the victim, Deshaun Roscoe, suffering a gunshot wound to his face.
Oh, she got him in the face, too.
Well, evidently he got her in the face and she got him better. Miller was reportedly trying to put pressure on the wound to aid the bleeding, but Roscoe was pronounced dead at the scene. Miller reportedly told detectives that she and Roscoe had been in a relationship for about 5 years and lived together in a 1-bedroom apartment with their 3-year-old and 9-month-old children. Court documents cited by WXIN say Miller told police she put the children down to sleep at 10:30 p.m. She and Roscoe were in their living room when Roscoe allegedly proposed doing the dirty on a blanket in a nearby playground. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to get some of this bumping, see? She was like, baby, let's bump it on a blanket. According to court documents cited by the Indianapolis Star, Miller said she felt comfortable leaving the kids at home because they didn't feel like it was that far away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're 3 and 9 months. They can take care of themselves.
That's right. They can fight it out in the bedroom. Miller also reportedly said she thought she and Roscoe would not be gone for very long. Because evidently...
Don't worry, he's a minute man. We were going to be okay.
He may be a good time, but not a long time. Mm-hmm. According to... God. WXIN...
How bad is it that she not only murdered him, but now she's completely burying him by saying, I didn't think we'd gone that long.
Yeah. According to the court documents... Oh, good God. Okay, I skipped a line here. WXIM reports a couple reportedly left their apartment at 12:50 a.m. Oh, this is where they do the ooh-ah part. Miller allegedly said she brought her gun with her because it was so late at night. And, well, he's busy shooting one off. She might have to shoot one off to keep the perpetrators off of them as well. According to the court documents, after doing the do, Miller and Roscoe, after doing the do, Miller and Roscoe allegedly got into a fight about Roscoe cheating on her. Probably not the time that... Yeah, I know, right? They shifted gears. They went 180.
How does that come up in that conversation?
Right. Roscoe wasn't like, so, baby, how is that treating you? You like that, huh? And she was like...
Baby, you're good, but you're not as good as Kenesha that I just did.
Right. No, he didn't say, was it good to you, baby? Did you like that? And she was like, oh, that was good, but probably not as good as you gave it to that bitch. Right? Did she like flipping on him? How did this happen? I need to know more.
Yeah, we need to know what how the conversation turned so quickly.
It evidently turned badly, right?
Well, yeah, she ends up killing him.
So she allegedly left Roscoe at the playground and went back to the apartment at 1:48 a.m. Miller was inside the unit for about a minute before going back outside to the playground. This is where I need to get like the Grim Reaper music going.
Yeah.
Because it takes a turn for the worse, right?
So they get in the argument. She leaves, goes back to the apartment, and thinks, nah, he's not getting away with this, and heads back to the playground.
That mother was doing something like he just did to me with someone else, and I'm not having that.
What if he said the other girl's name? That's what it could have been.
Oh, you know what, Bruiser? You might be right.
Yeah.
He might have been deep into it and went, oh, and this is Tanika we're talking about. Instead of Tanika, he might have said, oh, Tanisha. And she would have went, who the is Tanisha?
All of our female listeners right now are like, yep, he deserved it.
Yep.
If that was the case, he deserved it.
He had it coming. Miller got into her car and found Roscoe outside the apartment building's leasing office. The Indianapolis Star reports the two reportedly got into another fight, and Roscoe allegedly pushed Miller as she got out of the car. Bad move, dude.
Why did she get in the car? They obviously walked to the park.
Oh, maybe she was just going to run him over instead of shoot him. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe she was going to pick him up and say, get your ass in the car. we're going home. I don't know.
And he said no, so she gets out, so he pushes her. Okay.
Yeah. Miller, who was holding her gun, allegedly shoved him in return, and the weapon went off.
I shoved him with the gun and pulled the trigger. Didn't know that would work.
Yeah. The autopsy determined Roscoe died from a gunshot wound to the head. That'll do it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Every time.
That's a game changer.
Yep. Miller's being held without bond. So, yeah.
Those poor kids.
Meanwhile,
they're gonna grow up.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the kids are still at home in the bedroom going, "Where's mommy and daddy? Where'd they go?"
They said they were going to the playground. That was 3 days ago.
Yeah, 3 days ago they threw us in this bedroom with nothing but a Pop-Tart and a Binky. Our next couple of stories are straight up butt naked stories.
Oh, okay. I like when things are butt naked.
Well, I don't know if you'll like this one or not.
I should phrase that. It depends where they're butt naked and what they're doing.
Everybody has their preference, Bruiser.
Like if they're at Wendy's cooking the fries butt naked, I have a problem with that.
Really? What if they put bacon on those fries?
Yeah, no, you don't cook bacon butt naked. Trust me.
Bacon cheese fries?
Butt naked bacon cheese fries.
Butt naked bacon cheese fries with some Lowry salt on it? Am I getting
sure?
more?
You sold me. You just sold me.
All right. Okay. Bizarre moment where a naked man dances on a patrol car in front of baffled cops along Hollywood's Walk of Fame before being arrested for vandalism. I don't see anything wrong with this.
You know, I give the guy credit. He knew he was in trouble. So he went, you go big or go home, right?
Well, that's the theory. Because if he went small, the cops would just laugh and then they'd arrest him.
Yeah.
Yeah. A man was filmed dancing naked on top of a police car by Hollywood's iconic Walk of Fame in Los Angeles at just 7 a.m. on Friday morning.
7 a.m.
He got up
naked
early.
At 7 a.m.
Yeah, well, he got up with the birds. You know what they say? The early bird tugs on your worm. Yeah. The 38-year-old man climbed atop the cruiser. Not me. Not me. He didn't climb atop me. Near the intersection and ignored requests by the police to get down, instead choosing to dance. Well, sometimes in life you got to dance. Oh, yeah. Dance. Oh, yeah. 4 officers can be seen surrounding the car as Benny Martinez. Isn't he the guy that sang Into the Night? You know that song about she's just 16 years old, leave her alone, she said?
Yeah. So was he going to look at his star? I got so excited he took his clothes off.
Yeah. By the way, I just said that line and about 10 people started singing that song. As Benny Martinez proceeded to stamp his feet and shouting profanities followed by, "Do you hear me?" He's like, "Mother, God damn, do you hear me?"
No, can't get past the nudity.
Nope, still watching you jiggle around there. He wiggles around despite there being no music playing before a police officer slams the vehicle's door shut with his foot.
Because he didn't want him to go in the car.
Yeah.
That's just gross.
Well, I don't think he wanted to touch him. Officers called for backup and getting him off the car after he started vandalizing it as he eventually kicked out the car's back window. Oh my God.
Oh,
he was
barefoot. Ow.
He was really into it.
If I'm going to vandalize and I'm naked, I'm just taking a dump on the roof. I'm there.
Wow. Well, it is 7 a.m. He probably needs his morning constitution.
Yeah, and it saves my feet from breaking the back window.
That's true. Unless you're some sort of weird martial artist who you can do that. Martinez was eventually taken into custody and placed in the back of a patrol vehicle. I do have a video here. I might have some sounds of him swearing.
So we're just going to hear tap, 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 tap.
Let's see. Is it? There we go. So we got some. See if he swears at all. Oh, they cut off the swearing. Now he's just standing by the cop car and he's... Now that's no fun. They've cut off the swearing.
Oh, that's the best part of a naked man jumping on a car.
That is. Then he's jumping up and down on top of the cop car, and he's launching himself into the air. And the cops are just kind of looking at him like, are you going to get down or not?
Yeah, because what's he going to do? He's going to hurt himself, if anything.
He kind of started to floss a little bit there.
Of course he did.
Well, I mean, not literally, like take a piece of clothing and floss, but, he started to floss. Let's go to Louisiana, where evidently nakedness is spreading.
Of course it is. It's hot down there.
It went from L.A. to L.A. A naked Louisiana man was tased and arrested at a BR area gas station.
Ow! Being tased. Baton.
It gets hot and sticky in Louisiana. So
yes, it does.
I don't blame you if y'all are getting naked.
I've been naked in Louisiana.
Really? Is there a story? Wait, let's pause and hear this story.
No, I was in a locker room and then I was in my hotel room. Changed. So technically, I was naked.
Maybe you were in New Orleans down on Beale or something. There's no.
I haven't done anything. I mean, I drank and stuff down there, but I was more. See, this is where I fail as a superstar. I don't have any good me naked in public jokes, but I was too interested in like the ghost tours and the going to the different cemeteries with the graves and all that. But I did get naked in a hotel room and I got naked in a locker room.
Oh, look at you.
I did take my shirt off walking on Beale Street.
Did you?
Yeah, Bourbon Street.
Bourbon Street?
Yeah, Beale's Nashville. Yeah. Bourbon Street. Took my shirt off because I was hot.
There you go.
So I was halfway there.
Oh, there you go. Deputies tased and arrested a fully naked man who they say defecated inside a West Baton Rouge Parish gas station. There you go, buddy. On Sunday night, June 12th.
He just ran in, copped a squat, and left.
Rather than, they have those jars, you leave a penny, take a penny.
Leave a poop, take a poop.
Yeah, you must have seen a sign somewhere in the back cooler that said, leave a squat, take a squat.
Hey, he just had to go, and it was one of those bathrooms that only one person can use, and it was locked. So
yeah. The man is also accused of trying to attack a customer and a cashier while inside the store. Deputies tased the man in his chest and groin. Oh, now that's just being cruel and unusual.
No, that's just the cop having fun. I'm going to learn this guy.
They tased him in his chest and groin as they worked to get him into handcuffs. 50-year-old Joel Shane Pennington of Gonzales was charged with a felony count of obscenity as well as resisting an officer, 3 counts of simple assault, and simple criminal damage to property. Yikes, according to West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's spokesman, Major Zach Simmers. Witnesses say Pennington jumped out of a vehicle that was parked in front of the Tiger Track store on US 190 in Irwinville just before midnight on Sunday and then ran into the store. The 2 people inside the store were able to force Pennington outside of the store and lock the doors. Deputies said they tased the naked man after he refused their commands to stay still as he was being led away to a patrol car. Deputies added Pennington was able to pull one of the probes, which was in his groin area, out.
Ow, that hurts even more.
Oh, he pulled that probe out. Oh, God.
Yeah, you have to go to the hospital to get those taken out because they're hooks.
God bless America. And then began jumping and landing full force onto his hindquarters despite our efforts to prevent the self-harm.
What? Why? Like, if you want to cause self-harm, hit your head against the window. Don't be jumping up and just butt bombing the ground.
Don't pull those hooks out, especially if they're in your groin.
Yeah. I like how he had this all planned out because he obviously exited his car naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll end Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals on that. That's the dumbest thing you could do this week.
Yeah. That is an idiot.
Take a taser hook to the groin and then pull it out.
Oh. My groin hurts thinking of it.
Yeah.
I thought just being tased in the groin was bad, but then when you said he pulled it out, like I just picture this.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah. Well, Bruiser, speaking of things that feel like being tased in the groin, where are you going to be in the next few weeks? I'm just kidding. Where are you appearing, my friend, in the next few weeks?
Well, this Sunday, I am in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for AML.
Oh, really?
The next Thursday, I'm in Philadelphia for the Monster Factory at the ECW Arena.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.
I love the ECW Arena. It's one of my favorite buildings to perform.
You're going to be there with fellow Darkness Radio brother Blue Meanie.
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yeah. And I'm really good friends with Meanie. I've had him when I was doing those happy hours, had him on for a bit. I've been on his podcast. I've been on many underwater needlepoint shows with him. And one of my career highlights is I was able to do the Meanie dance with the Meanie in front of people. So
nice. Well,
I'm excited to see him. Very excited.
I'm glad you two brothers are getting together, and that show is coming up. What's the date on that show?
That's Thursday, June 30th. And the whole thing, it's sold out, unfortunately, but I don't know if they're going to release tickets standing room only, but it's a free show. You just have to pay $6 for the processing fee.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's being filmed for some. I don't know what. I'll have to talk to the promoter, but I know it's sold out. And I don't know if they're going to release more tickets or what, but I'm stoked, man. Like I said, ECW Arena is one of my favorite buildings to wrestle in. And Philly, I love Philly. Philly's fun.
Is there
and I get to eat some Tony Luke's.
Oh yeah, Tony Luke's is good stuff. Is there any pay-per-view possibility for this deal? By chance?
Yeah, as far as I know, they're filming it for.
I mean, is it going to be like on Fight TV?
No, they're filming it for something that's gonna be released later. Either I don't know if it's Netflix or Apple TV or something.
Okay.
I don't know how much I can say about it or how much it is, but I know it's being filmed for something.
Okay.
So I don't know. I can't say what. When I get more information, I'll let everybody know.
Okay.
But it's a Thursday night, which I'm real excited about. You know, and
right
just ECW Arena. You know,
sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we got an exciting week here, my friend. We've got Supernatural news tomorrow, and then Thursday. Are you sitting down?
I am.
Boy, have I got a surprise for you. I got a surprise for everybody.
Are you going to tell us or what?
No, I'm just going to say I got a surprise for everybody. Of course I'm going to tell you. There's been a little show on Discovery Plus that is just about through its season. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a little season recap of a little show called Portals to Hell.
Nice.
With Katrina Weidman. She'll be on Thursday. So
I love Katrina.
So we're going to talk to Katrina on Thursday. We'll also be talking to her about her YouTube series that she has with Heather Taddy. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we're going to review both of those. That's coming up on Thursday. Big week here on Darkness Radio. So
that's huge. That's huge news.
Yeah, so we got some good stuff coming up. Not only this week, but in the next few weeks, we've got some really, really cool guests. So
you've been hitting home runs with these guys. Katrina's amazing.
She is. Looking forward to talking to her. Unfortunately, Jack Osborne, as we've mentioned before, can't make it because he's got stuff.
Assuming he's taking care of Ozzy.
Yeah. And he's got some stuff going on at home too. But we're going to try to make the rounds with some guests from Discovery Plus and get an idea of what's coming and going with some of the shows on Discovery Plus in the next few weeks. So
awesome.
There you go.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I really highly suggest, people, if you're even just a little curious about the paranormal, listen to Thursday, because Katrina, she's an OG. I mean, she's been doing it forever, and she's been on numerous TV shows, and she knows what she's talking about.
You want to talk about somebody who studied with somebody with weight in the paranormal? Kat has had a lot of time with Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
She's had a lot of time with Chip Coffey. She's had a lot of time with some serious heavyweights in the paranormal.
I was going to say, I can remember back when she was part of the, with Ryan
PRS,
and stuff.
Yeah, with the Paranormal State, PRS. And you know, she's been, her and Nick Groff had the show there for a while, and you know, it really,
that show actually made me a fan of Nick, because when Nick was part of Ghost Adventures, I just thought, okay, he's just a guy, you know what I mean? But then when him and Katrina, they worked so well together, you know what I mean? That he actually stood out as, okay. And that's why when they announced she was going with Jack, I'm like, okay, I'm on this. I'm a Jack Osborne fan. And then they added her, and that show is just, Portals of Hell is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And some of the locations they go to are some iconic locations.
Yes. Yes. And Katrina in her own right, I think, and I want to give her props here is not only just a great female investigator. I think we need to get that stigma of female and male investigator out of there. She is a great investigator. Yeah. Period.
And her way of investigating is awesome. I've studied lots of her techniques on her shows. And
yeah. So
stolen a few.
Yeah, and I think the last time she was on with me, we had a very interesting and intriguing, deep conversation about investigating. So I'm looking forward to round 2 here, talking about Portals to Hell, and talking about the new show, that new YouTube show that she has with Heather Taddy, and we'll get deep into it, folks. It's going to be a fascinating program, to say the least.
And give her my best, because she's one of my favorite investigators. So.
I will. Yeah. Most definitely.
And,
most definitely.
If she's on the show, I'm going to tune in to check it out.
There you go.
Because it's like you said, she's a great investigator. Doesn't matter male or female. She's amazing.
Absolutely. So that's what's on tap for this week, folks. That's what we got. And like I said, we've got plenty of other goodies coming for you in the following weeks. We're loading it up for the next few weeks, and more. We're building up some steam here at Darkness Radio. That's what we're doing in the next few weeks to come. That'll do it. Again, thank you so much, folks. As we're new here on Audio Boom, we thank you for making the trip over to Audio Boom. It's not really that hard for the majority of you. It was just tuning into the same place you were always tuning in. Some of you who are on the Stitcher app, thank you for finding a new app to follow us over to. We appreciate it. As always, and thank you for being a dedicated Darkness Radio listener. We appreciate it. For Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. We'll see you tomorrow for Supernatural News right here on Darkness Radio, and thank you for tuning in to the best in true crime talk radio. This is True Crime Tuesday.